for season number 21 of Barrie Baycats Baseball. Tonight's Intercounty Baseball League game features the visiting Welland Jackfish and your Barrie Baycats. Here are tonight's starting lineups. First for the visiting Jackfish. Batting first, the center fielder, number 11, Gio Morello. Batting second in right field, number 1, Justin Gideon. Batting third, the left fielder, number 13, Brandon Nicholson. Batting fourth, the catcher, number 16, Sam Cocker. Batting fifth at shortstop, number 23, James Smithford. Batting sixth at third base, number 25, Ethan Hunt. Batting seventh at first base, number 10, Mateo Orsamato. Batting eighth, the designated hitter, number 24, Hogan Brown. Batting ninth at second base, number 6, Tyler Dupuis. Pitching tonight for the Welland Jackfish, number 55, Jake Hartford. And now, the starting lineup for your Barrie Baycats, managed by Chuck Sutlow. Batting first at second base, number 14, Owen Jensen. Batting second, the designated hitter, number 29, Ryan Rio. Batting third, the first baseman, number 26, Adam Odd. Batting fourth at third base, number 8, Randy Infante. Batting fifth, the center fielder, number 15, Jake Wilson. Batting sixth, the left fielder, number 34, James Anderson. Batting seventh at shortstop, number 3, Carson Burns. Batting eighth, the catcher, number 44, Tyler Puente. Batting ninth in right field, number 22, Juan Familia. And pitching tonight for your Baycats, number 97, Frank Garces. Here are the umpires for tonight's contest, calling the balls and strikes, Chris Walters. And handling the bases tonight, Sean Chafers and Mike Guthrie. Baycats fans, the Canadian Armed Forces is comprised of over 68,000 regular force full-time members and 27,000 reserve part-time members. Thousands of soldiers, sailors, aviators, and special forces operators have and continue to serve in both peace and wartime. Today, Canadian Armed Forces members are assisting in numerous training and peace operations all around the world. Each and every year, the Barrie Baycats host an annual military night at the ballpark. With COVID the last few years, we were unable to hold this great tradition since the 2019 season. It has been a few years coming, but we are proud to dedicate tonight's game versus the Welland Jackfish to the Canadian military. The Barrie Baycats and the Welland Jackfish salute and thank each and every member of the Canadian military for their ongoing devotion to the freedom we, as Canadian citizens, get to enjoy each and every day, as well as the dedication to serving our great country of Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you Master Warrant Officer Driscoll. Originally from Calgary, Alberta, Master Warrant Officer Driscoll joined the Canadian Armed Forces in 1995. Over his career, he has served with military bands across Canada, as well as with the Chief of Military Personnel in Ottawa. He has supported ceremonial events overseas in France and the Netherlands, and has been deployed twice to Latvia in support of Op Reassurance. He currently serves as the Sergeant Major at CFTLC Music Division at Canadian Forces Base Borden. If you are able to, please stay rising for the singing of our Canadian National Anthem, thanks to Master Warrant Officer Driscoll.
We're at Vintage Throne Stadium in the township of Springwater. Inter-county baseball tonight, live from Midhurst. It's the Welland Jackfish and the Barrie Baycats. Hello again, everyone, and a very happy Thursday evening to you. With Patrick Melbourne, I'm Ben Davey. Kendra Doyle is on assignment this evening. It's Military Appreciation Night, so we have some ceremonies happening out on the field. And welcome to the broadcast. It's the fifth matchup of the year between the Jackfish and the Baycats. Let's listen in to the ceremony happening down at field level here at Vintage Throne Stadium.
New Brunswick, Lieutenant Colonel Sean Cordy joined the military in 1991. His international operations included deployment to Haiti under the Combined Joint Task Force, the United Nations in 2004, Afghanistan in 2007, and he recently completed 18 months with the United Nations mission in South Sudan as the Canadian Contingent Commander. He is currently the commandant of the Canadian Forces Logistics Training Center at Canadian Forces Base Borden. Accompanying Sean Cordy to the mound tonight, Colonel D.L. Taylor, 16 Wing Commander, Chief Warrant Officer Rasconi, 16 Wing Chief Warrant Officer, and Chief Petty Officer, Base Chief Petty Officer, Canadian Forces Base Borden. These two, Sean Cordy and Colonel Taylor, is your pitch.
Josh Cote and Dylan Shepard out at home plate to receive the first pitches of tonight's ball game. The crowd standing respectfully as our military are here tonight. Many of them from CFB Borden, just out Highway 90, and a fantastic contingent here for us to honor this evening and to enjoy a little bit of baseball at the ballpark. Now on to the game. The Jackfish cruising to a 6-1 win over the Baycats here on Saturday night, Patrick, but all 6 of their runs came in one inning. The Jackfish sent 9 men to the plate in the fourth. Other than that, the Baycats held with them each frame, and certainly a key for Barrie tonight will be to avoid a similar big inning like that here this evening.
Feels like we've said that a few times, where if the Baycats avoided a big inning, they'd be a little bit more into games, but that's something that they can use and adjust to as the season wraps up in the next few games. Frank Garces on the mound today. He's a guy who can avoid that big inning. As talented a pitcher as there is in the IBL, it'll be fun to see him.
Well done.
As Garces takes his warm-ups, let's give you the starting lineup tonight for Brian Essery's Welland Jackfish as they make their final trip up Highway 400 to Barrie here in the regular season. Gianfranco Morello is the center fielder and leadoff man. Newly acquired Justin Gideon hits second. He's in right field. Brandon Nicholson in left field bats third. Cleanup man Sam Cocker, he's behind the plate. James Smeebert is the shortstop batting fifth. Ethan Hunt at third base bats sixth. Mateo Porcelato at first base batting seventh. Hogan Brown batting eighth at DH. And the number 9 hitter is second baseman Tyler Dupuis.
On the man for the Barrie Baycats, it'll be Frank Garces. As mentioned, he is an extraordinarily talented pitcher. He's a guy who can mix speeds both in his delivery and his actual pitches. You'll see a good pitch mix from him, and he'll vary up his timing in several different ways. In 20 innings pitched this season, he has a 2.70 ERA. He's got 26 strikeouts. That's good. Only 4 walks. That's very good. He's a guy who strikes out an awful lot of batters and doesn't walk anybody. He is 1-2 this season. He has not got the run support so far. Today he'll be hoping that he gets a little bit more run support and that he has a good outing.
This is the 5th matchup of the year between the Jackfish and the Baycats. One more to go, but this is Welland's final trip to Barrie this season, at least in the regular season. And so far, other than one game, which the Baycats managed to squeak out a 1-run win, it's been all Jackfish head-to-head between these clubs.
And that's been the difference in the Baycats' record this season. Obviously, the record at 28-18 has not been as dominant as the Baycats would have wanted. It's been those games against the big teams, London, Welland, and Guelph, that have not gone in their way. They went to Guelph a couple of days ago and only 4 hits in that game. They were not super happy with that final results, as they fell to 1-5 on the season against Guelph. That season series is over. They have a chance, though, to take a couple of big games against the Welland Jackfish, one at home and one on the road. Frank Garces on the mound for this one, so a winning streak could start up. We'll see.
Our first inning for starting lineup, uniforms and apparel, the official jersey provider of the Barrie Baycats. Your season starts here on this beautiful Thursday evening here at Vintage Throne Stadium. Welland 3-1 versus the Baycats this season. Barrie's lone win 8-7 here on Sunday, June 5th. Morello steps out of the box, collects his thoughts, now settles in as he taps the bat, and Frank Garces toes the rubber as we get ready for the first pitch of tonight's ball game. Here it comes from the left-hander, and bunting is Morello, and it's over the Baycat dugout and out of play. We're underway after a short pregame ceremony tonight at 7:44 here at the ballpark.
Good pitching matchup in this one. We mentioned Frank Garces, and on the other side it's Jake Harford. So 2 big, really good starting pitchers on the hill for this one.
Morello in his 38th game, .327 average. He's been a fixture for Brian Essery at the top of this Jackfish lineup this season. That one high and tight, and the count is 2-1.
New to the Jackfish this season is Morello. He's a guy who is really a strong leadoff hitter. He's a good contact hitter, but he's also got some power and some speed.
Lifts this one to shallow center. Jake Wilson calls for it. He sees it all the way, and he's got it for the first out. Let's look at the lineup tonight for the Baycats behind Frank Garces.
Defensively, James Anderson's in left, Jake Wilson in center, Juan Familia is in right field. In the infield, Branfi Infante at third, Carson Burns shortstop, second baseman's Owen Jansen, first baseman's Adam Odd. Behind the plate, Tyler Plumpton. Welcome back to the lineup for Frank Garces.
Owen Jansen has kind of made the shift from third to second to sort of fill the need over there. Branfi Infante back in the lineup tonight after being absent for quite a stretch, so certainly his presence will be welcome. Brendan Colley has played some third base this year as well.
Baycats just looking for offense wherever they can get it. It's good to see Ryan Rio back in the order. He was playing in that Guelph game. And then Adam Odd after missing a game or two. And then Infante. When you have those guys in the order, it really does lengthen it, and it gives them some other options. It allows them to put Juan Familia, who is in the 2 spot, all the way down in the reverse leadoff.
Justin Gideon, typically aggressive at the plate. He's behind here. No balls and 2 strikes. Here's the pitch from Garces, and he checks his swing. And it's outside a ball, 1-2. Gideon hitting .317.
That was exactly the sentence, word for word, I was about to say. Gideon hitting .317. Beat me to it.
Fouls it off. A little squibber over by the Jackfish dugout.
Now that is a .317 batting average with the Welland Jackfish. He actually spent most of this season with the Hamilton Cardinals as their best player. And with the Cardinals, he got .365.
This is what happens when you and I start working together over an entire season. By the end of the season, we start saying each other's thoughts. 1-2, and it's fouled into the glove for a strike. Down goes Gideon, there's 2 away. Game time temperature 19 degrees here at Vintage Throne Stadium. No Humidex tonight. Humidity very low. Very comfortable evening. Flags picking up just a little bit on that right field scoreboard. Earlier we had a bit of a crosswind from right to left. Not really blowing in or out. Really negligible. Shouldn't affect any fly balls tonight. And we're expecting a big bright moon over left field a little later on this evening as well, as Garces snags that, makes the strong throw across in time for the out, of the Jackfish go 3 up, 3 down in the top of the first inning. After a half an inning in Springwater, we're scoreless. The Baycats coming to bat. You're watching Rogers TV and Barrie and Baycats TV.
To the fans down the left and right field lines here tonight at the ballpark, for your own safety, please be aware of batted or thrown baseballs leaving the field of play at all times and the possibility of serious injury. We thank you so much for your cooperation.
Danielle May Real Estate, supporting the Barrie Baycats and ready to help with all of your real estate questions. What is your home worth? Should you sell now or wait? Danielle is dedicated to your success. The next time you think real estate, think Danielle May. Your Canadian source for first aid kits, AEDs, safety products, and more. Shop online today at firstaidcanada.com. Life is precious. Be prepared. Starting lineup for Josh Matlow's Barrie Baycats features Owen Jansen at the top of the order tonight. He's the second baseman. Ryan Rio is the DH, batting second. Adam Odd at first base. Actually, Odd is at first. There was a last-minute switch between Rio and Odd. Odd is in the number 3 spot in the lineup. Brad Fianfatti at third base batting fourth. Jake Wilson, the center fielder, bats fifth. James Anderson in left batting sixth. Carson Burns at short bats seventh. Tyler Plumpton, the catcher, in the 8th spot. And Juan Familia, the number 9 hitter, in right field.
On the mound for the Welland Jackfish is the right-hander Jake Harford, who has been excellent this season. 10-1 with a 2.60 ERA. In 12 games, 76 innings pitched, 69 strikeouts, 23 walks, giving up 57 hits. So he's a guy that limits contacts. He doesn't always get a ton of strikeouts, but he'll get weak contact and get out of innings quick.
Owen Jansen, those legs wide apart in the batter's box. First pitch from Harford, and he misses inside and low.
Baycats would love Owen Jansen to get into a groove in that leadoff spot. Obviously was in reverse leadoff spot for a long time, but now in that proper leadoff spot with Noel McGarry-Doyle not in the lineup tonight.
Baycats hopeful to get him back for the playoffs.
Second game in a row for Jansen in the leadoff spot. They had Jake Wilson there against the Panthers a couple of games ago. Wilson with one of the 4 hits from the Baycats a couple of days ago on Tuesday.
Harford's 2-0 pitch, and that's low ball 3.
Also scored the only run for the Baycats in that game against the Royals. It was mostly all Royals in that game. Biggest hit of that game happened when Connor Morrow crushed a ball to left field off Aiden Russell.
Harford's pitch, taking all the way is Jansen, and it's a 4-pitch walk to lead it off here on the bottom of the first inning as we take a look at the defense behind Jake Harford tonight.
Let's do it. Left to right in the outfield will be Nicholson, Morello, and Gideon. Morello's got excellent speed out there. In the infield, it'll be Hunt at third base, Smeebert at short, Tyler Dupuis at second base, and Mateo Porcelato at first. Sam Cocker, the excellent young catcher, is behind the plate. Mentioned Hartford's walk total of 23 walks in 76 innings pitched. It's not super high, but it does suggest that sometimes he gets a little farther outside the strike zone than he wants to.
My favorite Jake Hartford stat, he has only walked 4 batters in a game once
against
in his 17 IBL appearances, and you're right, that game was right here on Saturday night versus Barrie. Prior to that, 3 was his career high.
Well, they've just seen him, so they're going to be pretty patient, especially the guys who got those walks are going to be patient against Hartford.
Ryan Rio has not hit in the 2-hole very much this year, if at all.
He has not at all.
Normally a middle-of-the-order guy, leads the team in home runs and RBIs.
I saw that in the batting order, and I'm actually a big fan of it because I really like the idea of putting your best hitter in the 2 spot.
Runner leads. He does not go. Breaking ball inside, and Hartford struggling with control early on here. 3-1, kind of snaps his glove as he takes the return throw back from Sam Cocker.
A lot of modern strategies suggest putting your best hitter in the 2 spot is the best way to go about things.
Rio rocks this to center field. Going back is Morello at the wall. It is gone! Into the trees. A 2-run homer for Ryan Rio, and the Baycats break out on top. Well, you said it, Patrick. Put your best hitter in the number 2 spot, and sometimes good things can happen. And that's certainly how you pretty much ordered that one up right as it happened.
Baycats really needed that hit. It's a team that has not been hitting super well over the last few games. Coming out early with the first 2 hitters, coming home with a big home run. Baycats will love it.
And a conference on the mound already as Hartford chats with manager Brian Essery and his catcher Sam Cocker. Welland's in an unfamiliar deficit early in this ball game. Barrie jumping out to a 2-0 lead.
They're a team that's aggressive defensively, do not often get out to early deficits like you mentioned. So Jake Hartford unfamiliar with this position, and when you're not a guy who gives up runs early very often, it can throw you off a little bit because you're not often in that spot.
Rio's team-leading 6th home run of the season, 28 RBIs. Now that leads the Baycats as well. And this crowd is rocking here, unlike on Saturday last weekend. It really took Barrie a while to get going. In fact, they didn't get on the board until the 9th inning, I believe. And there just wasn't a whole lot to cheer about.
This place is kind of packed right now. Just about everywhere in the stands is full.
That can certainly help the guys on the field as they try to feed off of that energy, and there was certainly a buzz when that ball came off the bat of Ryan Rio. And a 2-0 Barrie lead. Hartford looking for an out here.
First home run for Barrie since that game in Kitchener. That was Brad McQuinn that time.
Adam Odd hitting .302, swings and misses on the fastball, and it's 1-1.
So we got to look at the crowd here at Vintage Throne Stadium.
Our men and women in uniform tonight sitting down the third base line over on the Welland side, just on this side of their dugout. Most of them all kind of sitting in the same area, and a really, really good contingent here of military on this special evening here at the ballpark. Weren't able to pull it off last season, so this has been a few years in the works as this one's fouled over the screen. It's a shortened schedule last year. They just weren't able to put it all together, and of course the 2020 season was canceled altogether. So first military appreciation night here since 2019. First of the decade. How does that feel?
It's true.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Adam Odd. Pitch to the left-hander. And he lifts this to left field. Back is Nicholson. Back. It's over his head. And it's off the wall. And Odd will cruise into second. Here's the throw. And Odd slides in underneath. Looked like he was going to have that one beat by more than he did. ended up being a little bit closer than probably he even expected. A good, strong throw in from Brandon Nicholson.
Second straight pitch where Jake Harford just caught too much of the strike zone. Normally he's really, really good at limiting hard contact, but not tonight so far.
A very uncharacteristic start to this ball game for Jake Harford, and the Baycats will just keep their foot on the gas here.
Well, Harford's been the second best pitcher in the league this year behind Claudio Custodio. So he does not often give up this hard contact.
Second IBL season for Harford, both of them with Welland. 10-1 this year. This one laced foul down the third base side.
Got to see Custodio, by the way, in that game in Guelph. He was playing right field, and he just missed a home run.
Wow.
He's got big power.
Got to be a candidate for league MVP this year.
I think a lock.
Well, there's some names out there. You look at Cleveland Brownlee, the year he's having. There's a few guys, but Claudio Custodio.
I mean, Custodio's doing it on both sides of the ball, right?
It's hard to argue against him.
That was an interesting pitch from Harford. Tried to go up and in and jam Infante, but it actually ran way up and in and almost hit Infante.
Pitch to Branfy.
There it is again. Same thing, except that time he hit his spot. First time, he really missed it. It's not a good sign for a pitcher when he's missing on those precise spots and then also missing in the middle of the zone.
Popped up, and that's going to be foul. Count holds at 1-2. This is Branfy's first game of the month. Has not seen any action on the field since July 28th against Hamilton.
There have been a lot of road games in that time, and Infante's only played the one road game this season. He's mostly a home game player.
He's been with the Baycats organization since 2014. A fan favorite here in Barrie. This one squibbed over to the Baycat dugout. Count is 1 ball, 2 strikes to Branfy Infante. Still nobody out here in the bottom of the first. Baycats up 2-0. Runner at second, Adam Odd. This one hits a center field. Morello underneath it. It's playable, and he makes the catch. 1 out in the inning. Odd stays at second.
Fielder number 15, Jake Wilson.
Boy, they are barreling up against Jake Harford tonight. Even that ball hit to the deepest part of the ballpark.
I hate to be negative after that hit, but I can't help but feel like Adam Odd would have loved to have tagged up there. Kind of took a bit too big of a lead when it was a little more certain than I think he'd thought that Morello would catch that ball. Now he's going to get to third, though.
Bunting is Wilson, and the throw to first is in time for the out, and Odd is 90 feet away, but with 2 out.
The left fielder number 34, James Anderson.
So some confidence in James Anderson here, giving him a chance to drive in a run with 2 away. Anytime you sacrifice with 1 out, that creates a 2-out situation, puts a little extra pressure on the man at the plate, but James knows how to come through in these situations. Harford's first pitch to him.
Well, when you're
it's a called strike.
2-0 in an inning like this, it gives you the flexibility to do something like a sac bunt, where if it was a tie game or only a 1-run game, Jake Wilson, who has a 7-game hitting streak right now, you'd want him to hit. But he's got such good speed and is a good bunter, so you can try the sac bunt, think, okay, maybe he can get on, but even if he doesn't, we can work with this with 2 out. Especially when Harford has not had his best stuff early.
Really impressed with the Baycats' discipline at the plate here in this bottom of the first inning. They're not chasing a lot of bad pitches.
No, they're not. There's only 1 swing all inning that I would have said where they were, well, 2 now. A little unfair to Anderson for me to set it up like that.
Well,
but there's only a couple of swings all inning where I would have said they would have liked to have that back.
That was a fastball Anderson just couldn't catch up to. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
That's Harford's good fastball.
When that pitch is working, it is sizzling hot. And this one chopped on the ground. Second base, Tyler Dupuis with an easy toss. Over to first for the 3rd out of the inning, but the Baycats on top on the strength of a 2-run bomb by Ryan Rio. And through an inning, Baycats up 2-0 over the Welland Jackfish. You're watching Baycats TV and Rogers TV in Barrie. BarrieToday.com. Local news, weather, Baycat scores, and more. BarrieToday.com. Your community, your news. The Canadian Brewhouse is a one-of-a-kind Canadian-themed sports bar. Stop by and enjoy live sports action and an extensive menu with amazing food and drink specials. Just off the 400 at Park Place in Barrie. Join the Canadian Brewhouse after the game.
I'm Christina De Palma, and whether you're looking for help with small claims court, a problem with your tenant, a traffic ticket, a notary, or looking for mediation, De Palma & Associate Legal Services can help. Know the rules, know your rights, solid advice.
Back live at Vintage Throne Stadium in Springwater, it's the Baycats on top of the Jackfish by a score of 2-0 with Kendra Doyle and Patrick Melbourne. I'm Ben Davey. Second inning brought to you by BarrieToday.com. Local news, weather, Baycat scores, and more. BarrieToday.com, your community, your news. Frank Garces gets a chance to work with the lead, something that he hasn't had the luxury of in a couple of his previous outings this season, and a called strike to Sam Cocker. We'll see how that changes his approach out there on the mound, if at all. It
can against Sam Cocker. Sometimes when you pitch with the lead, you can pitch a little bit more relaxed, but Cocker is such a good hitter that you still have to go in.
Fonte's throw pulled off the bag, but he makes the catch and applies the tag. Great job by Adam Ott at first. After a tough night here last weekend, he made 2 errors in that 6-run fourth inning. You know he's wanting a good game defensively here tonight to atone for that.
Cocker only had 1 hit in the previous game between Welland and Barrie here, but that hit was a big home run. And
got
you're right,
Welland going
Adam
in
Ott
that inning.
Really wants a good defensive game.
Did a great job there coming up with that throw and making the tag. This one hit to him at first, handles it cleanly, steps on the bag, 2 down. Well, you want a good game defensively, you're getting your chances if you're Adam Ott this inning.
You know who's impressive in this Welland lineup is this guy, James. Do we have Ethan Hunt first? I think I wrote that down. Or is it James Smeebert?
Smeebert grounded out.
Excuse me. That's
that
my,
last at bat, so now it's Hunt.
I was looking down at my notes, and I got mixed up there thinking about Sam Cocker. But I was still thinking about James Smeebert there. He's having such a good season. He's got 6 home runs this year, and he's hitting .364. And he's a guy that I don't think a lot of people were talking about coming into this year.
Yeah, he got hot in a hurry here in his rookie IBL season. And now Ethan Hunt, another 300 hitter. He's .305 in 35 games.
Not to overshadow Ethan Hunt. Yeah, I kind of got confused there for a minute. It all happened really quickly while I was looking at my notes about Sam Cocker. But it's such a good Welland lineup that no matter who you look at, everybody's hitting over 300.
They are, according to batting average, the strongest hitting team in the IBL right now.
And that's a league that includes the Guelph Royals, who are another team where it feels like they're all over 300, and the London Majors. Those 3 teams, all within a game and a half of each other. 2 of them are tied for the top in the Jackfish and the Majors in the standings this year.
To center field. Wilson has to go back to his right. He's under it, and he makes the catch.
And
back-to-back 3-up, 3-down innings for Frank Garces and the Baycats.
Thank Guelph a game and a half back just to finish that point.
We're through an inning and a half. It's 2-0 Barrie. You're watching Baycats TV and Rogers TV in Barrie.
For Welland in the second, no runs on no hits, no errors.
Fans, all Saturday afternoon home games that start at 4 p.m. this season are Junior Baycats Days with support and partnership of Rock 95, Cool FM, Barrie 360, Moonwalk Entertainment, and Dream Parties. Family fun will be taken to a whole new level. Carson Burns, Tyler Plumpton, and Juan Familia do up for the Baycats. Due back on the mic, Ben Davey.
Thank you, Patrick. Jake Harford looking to bounce back from a shaky start to this ball game. It took him 4 batters to retire the first Baycat, as a 2-run bomb by Ryan Rio got Barrie on the board early, and he'll work with a deficit here in the bottom of the second inning. First pitch from Harford, swing and a miss by Carson Burns, 0-1. Two runs, 2 hits for the Baycats in that bottom of the first inning. Pitch from Harford, swing and a miss. 2 straight strikes here, and Burns is behind, 0-2. Burns with a .266 average coming into this one.
Had that really great month of June. Has since kind of cooled off a little bit.
He's been reliable, if nothing else. He's played in 36 games. That's tops on the team.
And he's mostly consistent. He's got some power, plays really, really good defense, and he's a bit above average at the plate even when he's not on a hot streak. But when he's on a hot streak, he's one of the team's best players.
1-2 from Harford. Inside, and the count is even. Darting back from that is Burns, and the count is 2 balls, 2 strikes.
You can see it on our Baycats TV camera. Just watch over these next few pitches where Sam Cocker behind the plate is setting up his glove, and you'll be able to see that Jake Harford, at least to this point, has missed his spots quite a bit so far. See, that one raised up.
Left field, Nicholson, a couple steps to his right, puts it away for the first out.
It was soft contact from Carson Burns, but you can see the way when Sam Cocker is setting up low in the zone, that's where he wants that ball. He's not deceiving anybody. Nobody's looking there except Jake Harford. So Harford brings it, and it was a good pitch, got the weak contact, but it went up in the zone as it went through, missed his spot. And if the batter's looking for a pitch up high, that one could really burn you. He's a little bit fortunate to have that gone down as a weak contact pitch.
Here's Tyler Plumpton, the catcher. Takes the pitch, and he's ahead 1-0. Plumpton 362, and you just can't say enough how much better this lineup is with Tyler Plumpton in the order. He's played 21 games this season, leading the Baycats in batting average among those with a minimum number of at-bats.
It's another pitch by Harford that the target was low and it went up. Harford's going to have to be very careful not to miss up in the zone to a hitter that is expecting a ball up in the zone.
1-1 pitch, and this one's fouled away.
Just missed it there. Plumpton a little bit late on it.
When you got Tyler Plumpton in the lineup, it gives you the luxury of plugging James Anderson in somewhere else. He's the other guy that can handle catching duties, and the Baycats adding Josh Cote to the roster as well to help alleviate some of that pressure.
Good to see Dylan Shepard back here today. Did that catch for the first pitch as Plumpton goes down swinging. Did that catch for the first pitch, so I don't know officially, but that would suggest his hand's feeling a little bit better. That was the first strikeout of the game for Harford.
Since that double by Adam Ott, Harford has retired 5 in a row. You don't want him to find his groove, because once he settles down.
But he has not found his groove yet. Baycats can't let him feel like he has. He's been missing his spots more than he's wanted to.
Squaring to bunt was Familia, and it's a called strike.
Didn't miss it there. Perfect location.
This is a team that any team in the IBL will tell you got to keep your foot on the gas against. You just can't let up. And they can score runs in bunches, and we saw that last weekend. That 6-run fourth inning was all they needed. Off speed and chasing it is Familia. He's behind 0-2.
It's mostly the fastball where Harford is missing so far. Those last 2 off-speed pitches, exactly where he wanted them.
He wants to keep these Baycats guessing at the plate, and the more he can vary speeds, the more effective he is. Here comes the 0-2 pitch to Juan Familia. Chases it, and it's strike 3. Tag is applied, and a 3-up, 3-down inning for Jake Harford. We're through 2. It's 2-0 Barrie. You're watching Baycats TV and Rogers TV in Barrie.
Visit Alliance Billiards and Sports in the northeast end of Barrie. A fun, friendly family environment offering pool, darts, karaoke, and live entertainment. Enjoy a large variety of delicious food and drinks on the patio. You'll come as a stranger and leave as a friend. Revive MD Medical and Aesthetic Clinic, privately owned by Dr. Marina Bachet, a one-of-a-kind clinic that covers a variety of medical and cosmetic concerns. Visit 411 Bayfield Street, Unit B12 in Barrie or revivemedspa.ca.
Join us this summer at the Baycats Summer Baseball Camp. See you this summer!
Frank Garces and the Baycats out for the top of the third inning. Garces perfect through 6 batters, and it's the bottom third of the order. Porcelato, Brown, and Dupuis.
Third inning brought to you by First Aid Canada, your Canadian source for first aid kits, AEDs, safety products, and more. Shop online today at firstaidcanada.com.
Baycats with just 3 games left after tonight. Hard to believe. Where is this 2022 season gone? London is here Saturday at 4 p.m. That's our next broadcast. And then Welland next Saturday at 6:05. That's a road game for the Baycats, and they wrap it up here against the Brantford Red Sox 1 week from Sunday at 7 p.m., and then it's on to the postseason.
Baycats TV coverage for that Welland game. Details to be announced, but we're hoping to have a broadcast for you. Maybe Baycats Radio, maybe Baycats TV. We'll let you know.
Looks very likely that it will be a Toronto-Barrie first-round playoff matchup. Only thing really to be decided is the home field, and right now the Baycats are behind the Leafs in the standings. Barrie's going to have to get really hot here through their last 4 games. If Barrie won all 4 of their remaining games, Toronto would have to go 2-4 for Barrie to pull ahead of them and grab that number 4 spot.
Perfect pitch from Garces there.
So a tall order for the Baycats, but there is something at stake to play for here in these final 4 games. Home field, of course, would guarantee game 1 here at Vintage Throne Stadium, and then a deciding game, if necessary, would be played here as well. No balls, 2 strikes. Garces ahead of Porcelato. Full windup, and the 0-2 pitch just missed. Porcelato does not chase. It's 1-2. Leafs have the head-to-head record advantage over the Baycats, and that is the tiebreaker if they're tied in the standings. This one in foul territory, and it's out of the reach of James Anderson. So if the Baycats went 3-1, Toronto would have to go 1-4, just to give you an idea how
Baycats have
difficult it
played
would
a couple more games than the Maple Leafs so far, so if the Maple Leafs lose both those 2 extra games, it puts them a lot more even in the standings.
If the Baycats went 2-2 over these next 4 games, Toronto would have to lose all 6.
Out-of-town scoreboard today, by the way.
Shallow outfield, and it's going to be calling Burns off James Anderson at the last minute there to make the catch.
Baycats TV out-of-town scoreboard. Baycats.com now features a brand new spoiler-free TV page, barriebaycats.com/TV. Only one other game happening in the IBL tonight. It's Hamilton and Kitchener, and Hamilton has a 4-0 lead on the Kitchener Panthers right now. Hamilton has heated up lately. They're hoping for their 10th win of the season. They're 3-7 in their last 10. That's a team that was 0-10 in their last 10 at one point, so they've really had a good second half of the year.
Bunting is Brown. Garces, strong throw across, and they get him. Hogan Brown with the afterburners on, and Garces fires a missile to first base. 8 straight retired by Garces, and here's Tyler Dupuis. Well, that's some optimism for the Cardinals because they're going to be in tough, probably against either the Jackfish or the Majors. Guelph is still in the mix as well, of course, but you know Hamilton's going to have an awfully tough first-round opponent.
I think if there's a team that's going to upset from the bottom of the division in the playoffs, I think that the most likely one is the Hamilton Cardinals because they have put together some good games against tough teams lately. They have a sneaky lineup. You remember that Guelph Royals game where Tristan Nosika hit that walk-off home run. They are capable of beating these big teams. So I think in that lower third of the standings, nothing against the Panthers or the Red Sox, if there's a team that's going to upset one of the top teams in the playoffs, I would say Hamilton the most likely of the three.
Well, the way Hamilton's playing, that's certainly a possibility. And, I wouldn't rule out the Kitchener Panthers either. The Panthers led the Jackfish last night 6-2 heading into the 5th inning. So they can score runs as well. This one's fouled off to the right field side. It's 0-2.
Now, you were watching that broadcast. Mark Perry on the mic for that one. He was talking to IBL Commissioner John Kastner. What were your takeaways from that?
Yeah, we'll get into that in another inning here. I don't want to start that with an 0-2 count here and 2 away. But it was a great interview and really gave some insight into the future of how the league might look over the next couple of years. So a little teaser for you. We'll get into that maybe next half inning. Garces with a windup, the 0-2, and it's high.
It's a good miss up in the zone. Gives you a lot of options for the next pitch, and he hit his target. It wasn't a miss like Harford was missing last inning where it rose up. It was exactly where he wanted it.
Dupuis hitting 308. Here's the 1-2, and it's inside.
Fans didn't like it, but based on our outfield camera, it was inside.
Dupuis had to scoot back off the plate a little bit there. Had some late sharp break to it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 8 of 9 Jackfish players in this lineup hitting 300 or better.
That's pretty good.
And here's the pitch from Frank Garces, and it's fouled over the screen.
And Hogan Brown, the one who's not, is hitting 291. And you know what I'd be doing if I was Hogan Brown's teammate and he was the only one in the batting order not hitting 300?
Bunt?
No, you'd be giving him a bit of a hard time about it. Hey, you're not hitting 300.
Yeah, join the club. We're waiting.
You should be on the bench. But no, Hogan Brad's a very good hitter too, and he may well be hitting over 300 by the end of this season.
Just an absolutely loaded team. 316, the team average heading into this game today. They are the best hitting team in the league, as we mentioned. Also first in total runs scored. Barrie is 6th in offense and in team average as well. Fouled off again, right side, and battling hard is Tyler Dupuis. Jackfish have the second lowest ERA behind London, 4.50. Barrie is 5th in ERA, and the Jackfish 3rd in fewest runs against. London and Guelph just ahead of the Jackfish in that category.
Now that we've delayed this John Kastner conversation, it's
we probably
to a time where we could have fit it in.
Maybe.
But if we had started it.
This one lifted to center field, and it's shallow enough. It's caught actually by the second baseman, Owen Jansen. And Frank Garces has retired 9 straight. We go to the bottom of the 3rd. 2-0 Baycats. You're watching Baycats TV.
No runs, no.
And we go to the bottom of the third inning with the Baycats on top of the Jackfish by a score of 2-0. With Patrick Melbourne and Kendra Doyle, I'm Ben Davey. We head back to the top of the order. Owen Jansen, who started this game off with a walk, scored the first run of the game, and he'll start the third against Jake Harford.
All right, Ben, what do you think about the John Kastner interview?
Yeah, it was a really a great visit last night with the Kitchener Panthers play-by-play announcer during their broadcast against Welland last night. And the most interesting thing that John said to me was, or in my view, was the talk of possible expansion in the Intercounty Baseball League in a couple of years, what the league might look like in 2024.
There's been a lot of talk about Chatham maybe becoming one of the new spots for an IBL team, and that was mentioned.
And Chatham, geographically, of course, a long way from Barrie, so that might be the first thing that fans around here would bristle at.
I believe they have a ballpark ready, though. So,
and it's a part of the province that's very rich in baseball history, and of course, you got the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame close by, and just a lot of baseball talent and history from that area. Good fan base, and so that's next on the radar for the IBL would be a franchise in Chatham. But John mentioned that there have been other areas around that have expressed interest as well, one of which was Stratford. That perhaps has fallen off the radar a little bit, but John mentioned interest in Durham region once again, perhaps a return to Oshawa for a team. And for the first time I heard anybody mention this was York region, so maybe Newmarket, Aurora, a team in that area somewhere. I grew up in Newmarket. I'd love to see a team there.
And of course, with that expanded schedule, it opens up some possibilities as well.
If you put a team in Newmarket or Aurora, that would be a great corridor. Barrie, Newmarket potentially, and then Toronto. And a walk for Jansen, his second of the game.
Second time he's led off an inning with a walk as well.
So what that would enable you to do for the first time, in my knowledge, would be to create two divisions. If you got to about 10 teams, right now there are 8. Let's say you add one in Chatham and then you add one in Oshawa. Even just by doing that, you could create 2 5-team divisions in the league, and the Baycats wouldn't have to play Chatham 6 times a season, or right now they play London 6 times. Well, everybody plays everybody 6 times. You could have 1 or 2 games out in London and Chatham, and then focus the rest of the schedule on your own division. Jansen goes on the first pitch. Here's the throw from Cocker, and underneath with the slide is Jansen, and he is out. Got a great jump, but Sam Cocker with an absolute bullet down to second.
The first time this season, to my memory, that the Baycats have tried to steal a base first in a matchup between the Baycats and the Jackfish. Jackfish normally very aggressive on the base paths, but they have not had a base runner today. So Jansen trying to get an extra base, and Sam Cocker just has an excellent arm behind the plate, was ahead of him.
That's the first time this season Jansen's been caught stealing. He has 7 successful stolen base attempts. So 1 for 8 on the season now.
It's not a bad ratio.
And it changes the makeup of this Ryan Rio at bat as well.
Sam Cocker and Robert Mullen have been the 2 best defensive catchers from a throwing standpoint this season across the league.
So if you had 10 teams in the IBL, let's say Chatham gets their team, let's say Oshawa gets a team, how would you break up the East-West? I'm thinking...
I don't know.
You'd go Barrie, Toronto, Oshawa, of course. You might put Hamilton in the East Division, and maybe Welland. I know that might seem a little bit odd, but Welland is so close to Hamilton. Those 2 teams want to be together.
Well, you talk about adding new locations to the IBL, and the IBL has a rule where players can request to play in their hometown. That's why Jordan Castaldo was able to go back to Toronto.
Swing and a miss. Rio goes down. 2 out in the inning here. Harford.
So if we add new locations, there could be guys moving around from their normal team, and then there'd be maybe an expansion draft. There would be movement across the league. Teams would look a little bit different.
That's a good point. And you talk about Oshawa. Durham is a really, really big part of the GTA. I mean, you'd be drawing from Ajax, Whitby, of course, Pickering, that whole east part of Toronto. So that's kind of an untapped area over the last number of years. A lot of guys might consider the IBL if they have some roots in that area. So in the West, you'd have Chatham, London, Kitchener, Guelph, and Brantford. Perhaps that would be your 5-team setup out there.
Intercounty Baseball League. I'm not great with geography. to be honest. So I'm just listening to this and going, yeah, that sounds right.
Intercounty Baseball League at one time had a team in Ottawa, the Ottawa Fat Cats.
True, I covered one of those seasons. That was 2010.
You talk about a road trip. That's a bus ride.
It is. They came in, I believe 2010 was their first season.
And I can't remember how the schedule was set up at that time, but you talk about a bus ride from London to Ottawa or Brantford to Ottawa. That's one long road trip.
That's one with a nap as part of the bus ride.
Or a private jet. 2-1 pitch, high and outside. So some encouraging things being discussed. If you're a fan of intercounty baseball, certainly adding some franchises is a good sign, and things look very, very good for this league going forward.
Kendra Doyle's the third member of our broadcast team, and that was a big strike. Adam Aud didn't like it. 3-2.
Home plate umpire is Chris Walters tonight.
I'm going to ask Kendra, talking about expansion and different ideas to expand the league, what kind of areas do you think could be opportunities that would be good for the league to go into?
We have the teams around Toronto, we have the teams around Hamilton, same with the Niagara area, you can classify that as Welland basically. Barrie is I would say Newmarket as well. I would agree with Ben. I feel like that would be a really good team to add for them.
What do you think of that Chatham idea? That's one that seems like it's going to be more definite.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Could get a good crowd of them, so I would agree.
Swing and a miss. Odd down on strikes. Down go the Baycats. So a walk. Jansen caught stealing and 2 strikeouts for Jake Harford. We're through 3. 2-0 Barrie. You're watching Rogers TV and Barrie and Baycats TV.
Danielle May Real Estate, supporting the Barrie Baycats and ready to help with all of your real estate questions. What is your home worth? Should you sell now or wait? Danielle is dedicated to your success. The next time you think real estate, think Danielle May. Your Canadian source for first aid kits, AEDs, safety products, and more. Shop online today at firstaidcanada.com. Life is precious. Be prepared.
Fourth inning brought to you by Centerfield Foods. Centerfield Foods feeding fans and families at the Barrie Community Sports Complex since 2005. Frank Garces back on the mound. In this inning, he'll be facing off against Gianfranco Morello, Justin Gideon, and Brandon Nicholson. And to call it for you, Ben Davey.
Thank you, Patrick. And it's a beautiful night here at Vintage Throne Stadium. Very comfortable. We had a game time temperature of 19. Just a nice, comfortable summer evening. The humidity has dropped beautifully here. And Morello steps up to the plate. He's 0 for 1 tonight.
And if you're wondering, Morello goes by both Gianfranco and Gio, so both are right.
Frank Garces has retired all 9 batters he's faced. Looks in for the sign.
Watch. No hitter watch. Okay, I
Behind
gotta ask
here,
you.
2-0.
Gotta ask you. Are you a commentator that avoids saying the word no-hitter in a no-hit situation, or are you someone who will just call the play-by-play, mention the no-hitter, part of your job?
Yeah, it's a good question. My job is report the game. And there are people tuning in right now that might not be aware of that, so I would point out often that I might not say no-hitter, but Garces has retired 9 in a row. There you go. I mean, that's...
So you won't say no-hitter?
Oh, I would, but I'm not going to go out of my way to, draw a lot of attention to it. Top of the fourth
inning, it's a no-hitter.
But in my mind, it's really not even something to start talking about until you get to the 6th or 7th.
No, you're right.
Inning
It's a little early for that. But it is a no-hitter at the moment.
As a fan, whenever I go to a game, it's in the back of my mind because you want to attend something like that in person and say you were there.
Now, if Garces gives up a hit here and then goes back and watches the broadcast, he'll be very unhappy with you.
He'll be unhappy with you. I just said he retired 9 in a row. You actually used the words. And this one wide over the shortstop, Carson Burns.
Sorry, Frank.
Into left field, a base hit. The Jackfish get their first base runner of the night.
So completely unrelated to my analysis earlier, good hit off the bat of the leadoff hitter, Gianfranco Morello, who, of course, could have had that hit at any point during the game.
Of course he could have. And in all honesty,
I'll revisit that with 2 strikes and 2 out.
In all honesty, what you and I say up here in the booth has absolutely nothing to do with what happens on the field. Sorry to burst your bubble on that.
But I'm also not going to, if Garces, for example, gets the player of the game and I go interview him, I'm not going to bring up that I mentioned the word no-hitter right before he gave up the first hit.
I think you're hoping for another Welland hit right now, so it's not a one-hitter. And your comment tonight going on the record.
That would be bad.
But when I'm at a game, that's always in my mind, and then when that first hit happens, you're like, right? Like, because it would just be so significant to be in attendance to see a perfect game or a no-hitter. This one behind the bag at third, a long way, and a great catch by Branfy Infante, spins and fires it into second base, and Morello has to stay put. What a catch by Branfy Infante at third.
Excellent catch at third, going all the way back there, and it was a backhanded catch on the run. Baycats have got good third base defense this year from both Infante and Brendan Colley.
Morello has 33 stolen bases this season. You would assume that would lead the team? No. Nicholson has 42.
Everybody has a lot. There's 22. I'm seeing a 31, 25. Good throw over there from Garces.
The stolen base column on our stat sheet for Welland looked like lottery numbers. 7 Jackfish with double-digit stolen base totals. That's just unbelievable. They have, as a team, 181 stolen bases. That's more than double anybody else in the IBL this season. Averaging almost 5 stolen bases as a team per game.
They run a lot.
There he goes. It's a strike. Plumpton's throw. Not in time.
It was just a little bit.
Oh, they called him out. I don't know what happened. Wow.
It was just a little bit low from our eyes.
I jumped that call and I shouldn't have.
No, I think we had the same idea. It looked like he was in there safely.
Brian Essery thought he saw the same thing we did, unless he overslid the bag or just didn't stay on it somehow, and the tag remained. Morello caught stealing. How about that?
How many times have you been caught stealing this year? That's a 6th.
Yeah. He was 33 for 38 prior to that. That's incredible.
Well, Plumpton came into this game wanting to throw a couple of these base runners out.
This one lifted to right field. Familia comes over to his left, reaches up, makes the grab. And that will do it. So Frank Garces surrenders a single to Gio Morello, but he's caught stealing. And 2 outs to follow. Kind of a similar situation to Hartford in the 3rd inning. Giving up the leadoff base runner and then getting off the field. We're through 3.5. It's 2-0 Baycats. You're watching Rogers TV and Baycats TV.
Welcome back to Vintage Throne Stadium. Bramphy and Fonte lead things off as we sit here. Baycats catch a bit of a break in the last inning with that call at second base, because if he was safe at second base, then Sam Cocker would be up with a runner in scoring position. So a big caught stealing there thanks to Tyler Plumpton, and now we'll see Bramphy and Fonte, Jake Wilson and James Anderson bat here in the bottom of the fourth. Ben?
We'll see how pivotal that call at second ends up being as this game plays out. Pretty close one so far, a 2-0 Baycat lead, but you're right, that would change the makeup of that inning, and something to take a look at when I get home tonight. I'm not sure if we'll see it on our camera angle. The one thing here is that when the player slides that cloud of dirt, it makes it awfully tough for us to see whether a base runner is able to stay on the bag or not. You assume he does, but
first time, by the way, this season where it's starting to get chilly in the mid-game. It's been really hot for most of these, and when it isn't really hot, it's been kind of nice in these night games as we go on, but you're going to want a coat. I'm going to want a coat. I don't have a coat, so I'm going to have to deal with it.
Well, the playoffs are coming, so get ready, my friend. Although we're still in the second week of August. Little off-speed pitch misses in the dirt, and it's 1-1 to Bramphy and Fonte.
I don't know if I mentioned it on that Guelph broadcast. I was on the broadcast booth for that Guelph-Barrie game a couple of days ago, but the weather was amazing. No bugs, and it was the perfect temperature.
Pitch is in, and it's 2-1. Infante making a spectacular backhanded over the head catch defensively in that top half of the inning. Batting here in the bottom of the fourth. Pitch from Harford. Inside. That one nearly got a piece of him on the way by, and Bramphy just darting out of the way. It's 3-1.
He's gone up and in. That's his scouting report on Infante so far. He's gone up and in trying to get him to get jammed on a pitch and get that weak ground ball. Unfortunately, he's missed a couple times and almost hit Infante.
Infante thought he had ball 4,
and what happens when you go up and in successfully is you can go a little bit away in the strike zone, but stay in the strike zone, and the batter will think it's more outside than it is because he just saw it go inside. Good pitch there from Harford.
3-2, and it's popped up, and it'll be over our heads, and the count will hold. Umpires tonight, if we didn't mention them, Chris Walters behind the plate at home, Sean Schaefers is the first base umpire, and Mike Goutreau at third. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Bramphy and Fonte. Crowd wanting a hit here to lead off the bottom of the fourth. Here's the pitch, fouled back to the screen. Harford's last game against these Baycats on Saturday night went 7 shutout innings that night, allowed just 5 hits. Struck out 7, walked 4. That was a career high. Picked up his 10th win of the season. 6-1 Jackfish victory that evening. This one on the ground to short. Cleanly gloved and thrown over, and it pulls the first baseman Porcelato off the bag. Bramphy and Fonte with some pretty good wheels. Legs out an infield hit.
That should be scored an error.
Error on the throw, you think?
Yeah, it will be scored an error, and that's the right call. They pulled him off the bag.
So the error to shortstop James Smybert.
E6.
So Infante at first with nobody out here in the fourth inning. Breaking pitch for a strike
Gary
to Jake
Mason,
Wilson.
Our official scorer today, very much in agreement with me on that one. That was an error all the way.
So Smybert and Dupuy at double play depth here for a ground ball, and curveball misses, and it's 1-1.
Thanks to Spencer Tongway for helping us out with a few details with pronunciations for the Welland Jackfish team.
Harford not concerned about the runner at all. Looks in for the sign. Here's the pitch. Runner bluffs a start. It's fouled.
Heads up.
Into the trees, out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Jake Wilson.
Wilson on a 7-game hitting streak. Sack bunt in the first inning. He has been the hottest Baycat over the last few weeks. Average up to 318 after it was down at 260 for quite a while.
Yeah, as much as this Baycats team has had its offensive struggles lately, as Wilson swings and misses strike 3, Wilson has had a very strong second half of the season.
And it's all because of his brand new approach at the plate. Going down the middle of the order has allowed him to become a more patient hitter. And it's really benefited him because he gets deeper into accounts, he gets more pitches to hit, and he walks more. So he gets on base an awful lot more, and he gets a chance to use that great speed. He's become a very, very strong hitter, where in the first half, I think he'd be the first one to say he was not clicking all the way.
James Anderson now bats with a man on and 1 away. And first pitch swinging right into the glove of Harford. He goes to short, over to first, and it's in time for the out. 1-6-3, the double play off the bat of James Anderson, and the Jackfish are off the field in the bottom of the 4th inning. We go to the 5th, and a 2-0 Baycats lead here at Vintage Throne Stadium. You're watching Baycats TV and Rogers TV in Barrie.
BarrieToday.com. Local news, weather, Baycat scores, and more. BarrieToday.com. Your community, your news. The Canadian Brewhouse is a one-of-a-kind Canadian-themed sports bar. Stop by and enjoy live sports action and an extensive menu with amazing food and drink specials. Just off the 400 at Park Place in Barrie. Join the Canadian Brewhouse after the game.
I'm Christina De Palma, and whether you're looking for help with small claims court, a problem with your tenant, a traffic ticket, a notary, or looking for mediation, De Palma & Associate Legal Services can help. Know the rules, know your rights, solid advice.
We go to the 5th inning here at Vintage Throne Stadium. I'm Ben Davey with Kendra Doyle and Patrick Melbourne, and we got the bug spray out here on the top of the 5th. 2-0 Baycat lead.
5th inning brought to you by Etal Paving for all of your residential, commercial, industrial paving needs, providing quality service for over 37 years because you deserve the best.
And a called strike to Sam Cocker. Cocker, Smybert, and Hunt are due up. Smybert, for Welland here. And ahead quickly is Garces, 0-2. Pitch from Garces, high and inside. We've had a few mosquitoes already up here on the broadcast booth, and like you, Patrick, I'm always very reluctant to put the bug spray on because that means I need to take a shower when I get home after the game.
Yeah.
And I don't like evening showers. I like morning showers.
Morning showers are the way to go. Sam Cocker is having a great season for the Welland Jackfish. We talk about his power. He's got 5 home runs on the year, 38 RBI, and he's also hitting .355 while providing elite defense.
Pitch from Garces. High, ball 2.
Missed a spot right there. First time I can remember today him missing a spot.
The lone Welland hit came in the 4th inning off the bat of Gio Morello. Garces has been perfect otherwise. This one to right field pretty deep, but the catch is made by Juan Familia.
Good job to not give up on that ball off the bat, because Sam Cocker hit that and I thought it was gone. He got all of that one. And Baycats a little bit fortunate that stayed in the park because of the deep it's not the most homer-friendly ballpark here in Barrie. There are some parks where that would have been gone.
James Smybert, the shortstop, is 0 for 1 today. Frank Garces, 32 years old, from San Cristobal, Dominican Republic. 5'11", 180 pounds, joining the Baycats midseason.
Pitched in the Dominican Winter League last year, or last offseason, I should say.
In his second tenure with the Baycats, last pitched here in 2018 prior to this season.
Did you get to see much of him in person in 2018?
Yeah,
it was pretty
actually,
unbelievable.
I remember him, and I remember Claudio Custodio with the Baycats too, and I think that was probably the same year, or very close to that time period. Baycats had some really good starting pitching over that 6 straight championships last decade.
Did. They had Emilio Guerrero as well.
Whole new era under Josh Matlow here in 2020, but the franchise looking to get back to the championships again. Swing and a miss by Garces, and there's 2 away.
Baycats got to see Emilio Guerrero in Guelph a couple of days ago. Came in relief just to stay fresh on the Jeffrey Nunez start, and oh boy, did he look good. If the Royals have Custodio, Nunez, and Guerrero all working in that playoffs, they're going to be awfully tough to beat.
Garces has 55 Major League Baseball games to his name, as that one's over third. No chance for Infante. It's into left field. Second hit of the night for the Jackfish as Ethan Hunt is aboard.
Wouldn't have been a no-hitter even if I hadn't jinxed it earlier.
There you go. You're breathing a sigh of relief now, aren't you?
There we go.
That totally exonerates you from any liability.
You look at Guelph's bullpen as well. They have a setup guy and a closer similar to the Baycats earlier in the year. That's really, really solid. And the teams that solidify their back end of the bullpen have games shut down when they come in, like Guelph did the other night. That'll be big. Guelph has Deans and then Andrew Case, the impressive closer.
Ethan Hunt with 15 stolen bases this year. He's only been caught once, pretty much with every player on the Jackfish here. We got to give you their stolen base total because so many of them are able to be aggressive on the bases. 1-1 count here to Porcelato with 2 away. As mentioned, 7 Jackfish player with double-digit steals, and Hunt is among them.
Well, and doesn't look like one of those teams that really has to worry about their players qualifying for playoffs.
1-1 has popped up. Is it going to stay playable? Off with the mask is Plumpton, and he makes the catch! Tyler Plumpton gets the 3rd out of the inning, and Frank Garces and the Baycats are off the field in the 5th. Go to the bottom of the inning. It's 2-0 Baycats. You're watching Baycats TV and Rogers TV in Barrie. Bottom of the fifth at Vintage Throne Stadium. It's a 2-0 Baycats lead with Carson Burns, Tyler Plumpton, and Juan Familia. Bottom third of the order coming to the plate.
So something I wanted to talk to you about, Ben, is the IBL playoffs. We've talked about them quite a bit as we're heading toward them. There are qualifications you have to meet as a player to be eligible to be a playoff player. Batters have to have 24 plate appearances. Pitchers have to have 10 innings over 5 games. So what dynamic does that bring to these teams when they try to figure out their playoff roster? You're spoiling yourself on the Field of Dreams game right now.
Just checking the update on the score. I'll give it to you in a moment. Why don't we talk about this?
Yes.
What's your take? You think those requirements are lenient or
I
stringent?
think they're fair.
Or?
I think they're about right. Because you have to be a league player to be in the playoffs. I think that's very fair. You have to be someone that the fans have seen a few times throughout the year.
Well, it prevents teams from, picking up a ringer, so to speak.
It prevents teams from bringing in someone just for the playoffs. You see that a lot in the Dominican Winter League, where there are no real roster restrictions. I remember a couple of years ago, this is the same league that Garces pitched in last winter.
Boy, a lot of commotion over that foul ball that just went off to our left. Hope everybody's okay over there. Count is 0-2 to Carson Burns. A lot of kids here tonight chasing down the souvenirs. There's been a lot of them.
Just making sure everything's okay over there.
Another one fouled off, same spot.
The rules in the Dominican Winter League. Anybody can join the team at any time. So Robinson Cano, after not playing a game all regular season, comes in for the first playoff game for this team and hits 2 home runs.
So they don't have a requirement?
They do not.
Wow.
So that's very different.
Yeah.
And that's what the IBL is hoping to avoid with A, the signing deadline, and B, the playoff qualification system. Because that means teams will be the actual teams, as we just confirmed everything's okay over there. It confirms the teams will be these teams in the playoffs.
Seems like a fair system to have. A called strike 3 to Burns. That looked to be low and or inside. And Burns has a couple of words for the home plate umpire as he heads back to the Barrie dugout.
We'll see about that call in a minute. I'm pulling up the video.
Baycats were not happy with the balls and strikes here on Saturday night when the Jackfish were here. Different home plate umpire that evening, but
it has been a bit of a bigger strike zone today.
Tyler Plumpton to the plate now. Two hits for the Baycats tonight and 1 error to Welland, accounting for another Baycat base runner, but that has been it off of Jake Harford this evening. After a shaky start to this game, a 2-run homer to Ryan Rio and a double to Adam Ott, he settled down quite nicely and retired 6 in a row after that. Just a walk and an error since. Harford zips in a fastball for a strike, and he's ahead of Plumpton now 0-2. Plumpton struck out in the second.
Nice pitch there from Harford. Just trying to get a look here at that last Carson Burns call.
Harford working from the stretch even with nobody on here. The leg kick and the 0-2. Inside it hit him. Got a piece of the left arm, and Plumpton, who's been hit, I think, just about as much as anybody on this Baycat team, gets a chance to get aboard here with 1 out in the 5th.
That strike 3 call to Carson Burns did hit the strike zone, by the way. Good call by the home plate umpire. Looking back at it, it just caught it. Good framing behind the plate by Cocker, but it would have been a strike even without the good framing.
Plumpton has been hit 6 times by pitched balls this season. That's second on the Baycats, second only to Noel McGarry Doyle, who had been hit 8 times.
Feels like Brendan Colley gets hit by pitches a lot too.
And with Plumpton being a catcher, of course, he's constantly on the receiving end of foul tips and a lot of balls that get fouled off at home plate. It's a tough position to play. Plumpton does it as well as anybody.
Juan Familia hoping to break out of kind of a nasty streak. He's struck out in 7 straight at-bats.
He's had trouble with the fastball from Harford tonight, and Harford tries to fool him with a breaking pitch, and Familia does not chase. Juan Familia has seen a good amount of playing time, and he's a guy in this lineup that they really want to get going offensively. Struggling with just a .218 average coming into tonight. This would be a good time for him to get hot. Lifts this one weakly, left side. It's the shortstop. James Smybert taking it for the out, and there's 2 away. One of the things Josh Matlow mentioned to me is just the ongoing frustration, and he's not the only one. All IBL managers face this throughout the season, but you deal with the challenges of player availability. And these guys have family situations, they've got travel schedules, they've got work commitments, and it's just very rare to get a guy who can play a full season of games for you. The Baycats have a couple of those guys, but the reality is a lot of guys have been kind of in and out of the lineup at different times. And there's a lot to be said for a guy like a Carson Burns who, you can put in the lineup every single day.
Guys like Owen Jansen, Jake Wilson, Anderson, Familia as well. These guys are in the lineup every single game.
1-0 is the count to Jansen. He's got a pair of walks tonight off of Harford.
Always available.
This one stays in the infield, and it's the shortstop again. Smybert with the catch. And that will do it for Barrie in the bottom of the 5th inning. We go to the 6th. Patrick to call the next couple of frames for you. It is a 2-0 Baycat lead. Rushing Baycats TV and Rogers TV in Barrie.
In the 6th inning of play, no runs. No.
Visit Alliance Billiards and Sports in the northeast end of Barrie. A fun, friendly family environment offering pool, darts, karaoke, and live entertainment. Enjoy a large variety of delicious food and drinks on the patio. You'll come as a stranger and leave as a friend. Revive MD Medical and Aesthetic Clinic, privately owned by Dr. Marina Bachet, a one-of-a-kind clinic that covers a variety of medical and cosmetic concerns. Visit 411 Bayfield Street, Unit B12 in Barrie, or revivemedspa.ca.
Join us this summer at the Baycats Summer Baseball Camp.
See you this summer.
Sixth inning here. Frank Arcette back on the mound to face off against Hogan Brown, Tyler Dupuis, and Gianfranco Morello. First pitch in there for a strike. Sixth inning brought to you by the Canadian Brew House. Our house is your house. Next pitch outside, count 1-1.
Taking a look at our out-of-town scoreboard, just one other IBL game tonight. It's at Jack Couch Park in Kitchener, and the Panthers trailing the Hamilton Cardinals 6-0. You mentioned it earlier, Patrick. The Cardinals playing some really good baseball over the last couple of weeks.
They sure are.
3-game win streak, which, considering the struggles they've had this year, is really saying something.
Garcett's
some
facing
momentum
off against the speedy outfielder Brown. That's inside. 2-1. Or excuse me, 3-1 now. Brown grounded out back to the pitcher. It was a bunt ground out. So kind of bunted back to the pitcher, I should say. Last time up. Pitch from Frank. And that's ball 4. Didn't miss by much. And it's a leadoff walk here in the 6th for Hogan Brown. He's got good speed.
Another shutout game worth mentioning tonight is happening in Dyersville, Iowa, where the Chicago Cubs in the Field of Dreams game are laying it to the Cincinnati Reds tonight by a score of 4-0.
Brown has 21 stolen bases this season, which for most teams would lead the team again. Not for this team. Here's Dupuis. Popped out to second his last time up. First pitch to him is a strike, 0-1.
Brown was leaning as Garces came to the plate. Didn't really bluff a start, but it looked like he might have been thinking about it. You got to be careful with the left-hander on the mound.
Keanu 0-1. Kicks and throws. Grounded left side and foul. Again, was thinking about going to second. Did not go wholeheartedly, but Brown is a guy who can decide to go to second and almost be there just like that.
Dupuis 21 for 25 in steal attempts this season. Big base runner here for the Jackfish.
Shocker, a guy on this team who can run. 0-2. Fouled away.
Jackfish got the leadoff man aboard in the 4th. Gianfranco Morello was caught stealing, and again, one of those plays that we're going to want to go back and look at when we get home tonight, because it looked like he had beat the throw but perhaps overslid the bag. Hogan Brown leading off this inning with a walk here for Welland as well, and you know it's only a matter of time before they're going to get on the board.
0-2 coming up from Frank. That's popped up. Moving over is Owen Jansen. Also moving over is Adam Odd. It's actually going to be Odd calling him off and making the catch as he moves to his right. Gives the ball back to Garces, 1 away. So a pop-up to first base. After it looked more in the second base territory, either of them could have caught it, 1 away.
Burns and Jansen having a quick discussion out there in the middle of the infield. Of course, they need to be ready to cover second should Brown decide to steal, but the double play is in order here as well with just 1 out in the inning.
I was just about to mention that double play possibility, and a fan has the same idea, chanting double play several times. Here's Morello. Gianfranco Morello 1 for 2. Singled last time and was caught stealing. Did they just catch Brown? They did! Hogan Brown has been caught stealing, 2 away.
Second Jackfish player retired on the bases tonight, and that is a huge out for Frank Garces as they really tested his pickoff move there, and Garces was right on it.
So Morello, who was caught stealing earlier, watches one of his teammates get caught stealing and stands in with a 1-0 count, and now the base is empty. Next pitch to him is outside, 2-0. It'll be Morello and then Gideon. But there are 2 outs in the inning now, so Gideon might not bat, at least in this inning. There's a strike, and it's 2-1.
2-1. 2-1 on the scoreboard. 2-1.
Ground ball to Burns. And that'll end the inning. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Frank Garces, who's only allowed 2 hits today. You're watching the Barrie Baycats and the Welland Jackfish on Rogers TV Barrie and on Baycats TV. Jake Harford back on the mound. Welcome back to Baycats TV. Baycats Shop is your one-stop shop for all things Baycats, from jerseys, hoodies, t-shirts, hats, and fan gear. Baycats Shop has it all. It'll be Ryan Rio, Adam Odd, and Bramphy Infante here in the 6th inning. Rio homered in the first inning, and it was a really nice first inning. The start of it was 3 straight base runners. Owen Jansen walked, and then Rio homered. So the Baycats' first 2 hitters of the inning both scored. In the first 2 hitters of the game both scored. And that's the only score so far. It's 2-0 Baycats. Both teams only with 2 hits. Both the Baycats' hits happened in that first inning. First pitch to Ryan is a strike.
Hey, Patrick, wanted to get your thoughts on the Field of Dreams game happening as we speak in Dyersville, Iowa tonight. It's the Reds and the Cubs. Last year it was the White Sox-Yankees. And what do you think happens with this game going forward? I heard that they're going to take a break from it next year and perhaps turn it into a resort or something. They're going to do all these expansion plans have been talked about.
They want to keep it special, right? So maybe having it once every few years. Here's the 1-1. And they can tie into maybe different baseball movies. Because
otherwise, what do? Do you just rotate teams through? I mean, do you have like Oakland play Tampa Bay some year? I mean, like it's going to get to the point where it's just meaningless matchups.
Special, right?
Yeah.
So
obviously, Yankees, White Sox, very rich history last season. That was a.
And then Cubs, Reds, big rivalry game.
But even still, you got a couple of sub-500 teams. I mean, I would have a hard time believing there's the same kind of interest this year as there was in last year's game. So I could be wrong, but
maybe let people miss it a little bit and have it away for a couple of years and then bring it back with a big matchup. Cubs might be good in a couple of years. White Sox looking like they're going to be good for a long time. That one's fouled away 2-2.
I got a chance to see the movie sites in 2019, right before the pandemic. We did a summer road trip, and we were fortunate enough to be close enough to Iowa to actually drive down there for a day and see it. And this was just as the construction was happening on the stadium that they built.
I was talking to Rob Daniels about that. I think he either was going to go down or he did go down and was able
he worked
to see
there.
It. Yeah.
He worked there for a summer.
Can't have 3-2 to Ryan Rio.
I think he was involved with the tours or something like that, and so when we went, we got a chance to see a game on the movie site field, not the stadium that was built shortly after.
Rio down on strikes for the second time today, and that'll bring up Adam on.
And it was just a men's old-timers league, a bunch of guys wearing vintage uniforms from who knows where. Showed up to play a game. I guess they had booked the field for the evening. And we got a chance to watch them play. Didn't know any of them, of course. But
well, they have a smaller field next to that big field, right?
So there's the movie site, which is, of course, what everybody wants to see. And then they built the big stadium right beside it. That's where the Major League Baseball games are being played.
Harford missed his spot on that pitch, 1-0.
So we got to watch this old-timers game. And one of the guys needed a pinch runner. So he saw my son, who was, I think, 14 years old at the time, and asked him if he'd like to pinch run. So my son actually got to play in a game on the movie site field.
It's pretty cool. Counting at 2-0. Is it a movie that you have a connection to or you really like?
Oh, it is in my mind, the ultimate baseball movie. It's just such a special story. I don't think there's anybody who doesn't get choked up in that final scene.
Here's the 2-0. There's strike 2-1.
And then to actually see the field and get to walk out. And they let you everywhere. You can walk out on the field, unless it's being booked for a private event, but you can walk on the field, you can throw the ball around. They let you walk back through the corn.
Here's the 2-1. Foul back to the screen.
We took a few videos. Everybody had their cell phones, and they're like, walking out of the corn onto the field, kind of doing that epic recreation of the scene when the players walk out. It's really cool.
Hearing some brand new great sounds here at the ballpark, thanks to Dan Miller and Brian Backlund.
Well, this crowd was fired up right from the get-go with that 2-run homer by Ryan Rio. They'd love to have a little more to cheer about here on the 6th.
Sounds and some of the graphics and video board from Dan Miller today. Hit up the middle by Adam Odd. That's going to drop and be a base hit. Second hit today for Odd, who's got a single and a double.
Yeah, it's been a good night for Odd so far, not only defensively, but at the plate. He has 2 of Barrie's 3 hits.
The third baseman, number 8, Bramphy Infante.
You saw what Welland did against Kitchener last night. Kitchener got off to a big start and had a nice lead in the middle innings, and the Jackfish just exploded offensively. And this is a team that can score runs in a hurry. Baycats know a 2-run lead is anything but safe against a team like this.
Infante's got some good taste in walk-up music.
Players
Harford.
love to feed off the energy of that song when they come to the plate.
And that is an inside pitch, it looked like from our angle, but gets called again. A bit of a bigger strike zone today. Has been consistent, 0-1. Runner on first is Adam Ott. He's got okay speed. Infante down the line, left field, and foul. Brian Backlund, our producer today. Rob Daniels, our PA announcer. Van Davey, Kendra Doyle with us as well. I'm Patrick Melbourne. Thanks for joining us here on Baycats TV. You can also see the post-game photos from Bob Hurley, the team photographer. Pitch outside. They'll look at Odd at first, but he gets back in time without a throw from Sam Cocker.
I don't think Odd is going to be a threat to steal here in this situation. I could be wrong. He doesn't have a stolen base attempt yet this year.
Here's the 1-2. Upstairs, check swing did not go, and it's 2-2.
I noticed Odd wasn't exactly burning it around the bases on his double earlier in the game either. It was a well-hit ball. He didn't need to run it out too hard, but
you don't want to hurt yourself running too hard when you know you're going to be safe and it's only going to be a single whether you run hard or not. Here's the 2-2. Harford waiting a long time, now comes home, and that is strike 3. Infante knew it.
Good pitching by Harford, not worried about the base runner at all, coming right at Branfi Infante, and he placed that pitch exactly where he wanted it.
Jake Wilson.
Wilson hoping to extend that 7-game hit streak. Batting in the middle of the order again today. This has worked so well for Jake this season. Up and away. Owen Jansen up in the leadoff spot, if you're wondering today, and Juan Familia in that reverse leadoff spot. Wilson, a left-handed hitter against the right-handed Harford. And that is outside. Baycats wearing their 05 throwback uniforms today. Jackfish in their blue jerseys with the gray pants and green socks. Here it comes. And inside.
That blue-green combo reminds me a lot of the Seattle Mariners. If there was an MLB team with color scheme that looks a lot like Welland, it seems to be like Seattle an awful lot.
That's strike 1. So waiting on the 3-0 count to see what he would get, and it is a strike. Just looking back here to see if the on-base streak is even longer than the hitting streak for Jake. And that's ball 4. So you look back at that game in London, and it is. It's now a 10-game on-base streak for Jake Wilson.
2 base runners for the Baycats here in the 6th. First time they've done that today since the 2nd inning. And actually in the 2nd, they didn't have 2 base runners on at the same time because Rio hit a 2-run homer. So they managed 3 base runners that inning, but this is the first time all game that the Baycats have had 2 aboard at the same time.
Here's Anderson. Runners on first and second with 2 out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. The left fielder tonight can also play in the infield and can catch. There's a strike to James. Anderson's grounded out twice, including into a double play. He'd really like to avoid the ground out here with the good defense in the infield from the Jackfish. You've got good speed at first with Wilson, very good speed in fact, and okay speed at second. Anderson pops it up. Third baseman behind it. He'll make the catch. That's the third baseman, Ethan Hunt, and that'll end the inning. Harford gets out of it without giving up a run. A hit for the Baycats and nothing more. Baycats up by 2 as we head to the 7th inning. Right here on Baycats TV and on Rogers TV in Barrie.
For the Baycats in the 6th inning, no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 2 left on base.
Danielle May Real Estate, supporting the Barrie Baycats and ready to help with all of your real estate questions. What is your home worth? Should you sell now or wait? Danielle is dedicated to your success. The next time you think real estate, think Danielle May. Your Canadian source for first aid kits, AEDs, safety products, and more. Shop online today at firstaidcanada.com. Life is precious. Be prepared.
Seventh inning brought to you by Firehouse Subs, Barrie and Aurelia. Only top quality, freshly sliced meats and cheeses piled high on toasty hot rolls. Buy subs, save lives. Justin Gideon will lead things off here with Brandon Nicholson on deck and Sam Cocker behind him. Facing off against Frank Garces, who has kept the Jackfish to no runs on 2 hits. First pitch to him is a ball, 1-0.
Jackfish with just 10 losses this season, and they have not been shut out, so they know they got to figure out Frank Garces here.
Ben looking at me jinxing the no-hitter earlier and deciding, hey, I think I'm going to make it, so Welland's going to score a run. Not sure why he's doing that. 1-1 is hit to right field, and
Unbelievable.
there it goes.
Unbelievable.
Ben Davey just said the word shutout, and Justin Gideon hit it way out. Told you. And it's 2-1 Baycats.
Well, Justin Gideon barreled that one up beautifully, and he had a pair of home runs. Big night against the Panthers last night. So that's 3 home runs in 2 games for Justin Gideon. He was 3 for 5 in that game. Breaks an 0 for 2 with a solo shot here in the 7th.
You mentioned it during the break, and I warned you not to bring it up on air because Gideon would do that.
Now, why are you making such a big deal about this when you mentioned the no-hitter?
Because it's fun when it's not happening to me.
So you got to play by the same rules.
A run is more important than a hit, Ben.
Oh, here we go.
And in a now
Tell
one-run
that to Frank
game,
Garces.
that's low. 1-1
Well, I
to
guess
Brandon Nicholson.
Welland fans aren't too upset about us jinxing anything this evening, that's for sure.
Yeah, but when Josh Matlow watches this back, 1-1 is outside 2-1.
You really think he's going to blame us for anything that happens on the field ever?
I mean, the hit one I think he could excuse because there was another hit given up after that, but it was a shutout and now it's not.
So if Welland scores another run, am I off the hook?
No, because then it's tied. 2 balls, 2 strikes to
Sounds
Brandon
like we're
Nicholson.
making up the
Here it
rules
comes.
as we go here.
And he got a big strikeout from Garces. 1 away.
Well, credit the Jackfish. They will escape their first potential shutout of the season.
Catcher number 16, Sam.
Fortunately for Barrie, nobody on base when Gideon barreled up that pitch over the right field fence.
Here's Sam Cocker.
Garces with 3 strikeouts tonight. Bit of a lower total for him. They've been.
Yeah, he's usually a guy that's going to strike out over 10 in an appearance and not walk anybody. He hasn't walked anybody, but he hasn't struck out many either. He has walked 1.
Kind of pitching to contact tonight. It's worked for him.
Struck out 3 so far with that strikeout to Nicholson. Can 0-2 to Sam Cocker, looking for another one here. Got it! Second strikeout of the inning.
So we mentioned Garces' low strikeout total, and you think he'll string together a bunch of strikeouts?
I mean, if you have the power that it seems like you do based on this inning, that would suggest that maybe it could go the other way, and you could help Frank Garces now.
Well, strikeouts aren't everything, because when Garces pitched in Guelph on August 2nd, he struck out 8 and yet took the loss in that game, 4 earned runs and 7 innings of work. So,
but that's kind of an outlier, because the more guys you strike out, generally the better time you're going to have. The only downside to it is it'll raise the pitch count. That's up high, 1-1 to James Smybert. He's 0 for 2, grounded out and struck out. Baycats up by 1 after the home run by Justin Gideon. That's popped up really high. Burns under it. Burns makes the catch, and the inning is over. But the Jackfish add 1, and it's 2-1 for the Barrie Baycats, heading to the bottom of the 7th. You're watching Barrie Baycats baseball on Rogers TV Barrie and on Baycats TV. The buried lead here is that I called that.
what do you mean?
When you started talking about this. It's true, I did. New pitcher for the Barrie Baycats is Wyatt Hummel. 15th game of the season for him. He has a 4.98 ERA in 30 2/3 innings. He's a guy that gets a lot of strikeouts, 41 strikeouts in that time, but he also walks a lot of guys, 23 strikeouts in those 30.2 innings. So the Baycats will hope to take advantage of command that may or may not be great, depending on how Hummel does. Jake Wilson to lead things off. Carson Burns to lead things off. I always get their walk-up music mixed up. Carson Burns is 0 for 2. It'll be Burns, Plumpton, and Familia. So Hummel kicks and throws. Now one hits Burns. Did it get him? It looked like it got him. It bounced right in front of his feet. And if it didn't, then it's very fortunate for Wyatt Hummel, because it sure looked like it was. Burns is not acting like he got hit, so he'll stay in the box, and it's 1-0.
Hummel has been used both as a starter and a reliever for Brian Essery this season, his 15th appearance of the year. He does have 5 starts for the Jackfish this season, a guy that can give you a lot of innings. 2-0 record, and he'd love to add to that with a win here tonight if the Jackfish can flip this score.
Pitch coming in from Hummel. That's down and in. He has been nowhere close to the plate so far in this at-bat, 2-0.
Got his first win of the season in his first appearance, an 8-7 victory over the London Majors back in May, and he picked up his second decision of the year on August 4th against the Red Sox, his most recent appearance. He worked an inning and a third of relief that night.
Right-hander kicks and throws. Down and in. And that is ball 4. So he's been nowhere close on all 4 of those pitches, and it's a 4-pitch walk for Carson Burns. Here's Tyler Plumpton.
The catcher, number 44.
Fourth walk of the game for the Baycats. They were able to capitalize on one of those walks with the 2-run homer by Ryan Rio in the first inning, and Plumpton would love to repeat that piece of history here with a man on to lead off this 7th.
Jake Harford entered this game with a 10-1 record. He is currently in line to get the loss. Baycats up 2-1. Of course, it was 2-0, and then Ben decided to talk about the shutout. And I warned him that would happen. I warned him, if you're going to talk about the shutout, then Gideon's going to go deep, and then Gideon went deep.
Now, why are you continuing to make such a big deal about this when I didn't give you the gears on the Garces hit to break up the no-no?
Because it's a lot of fun. 1-0.
I give Harford a lot of credit as this one gets away.
Yeah, it gets away from the catcher. Burns up to second on the pass ball.
I give Harford a lot of credit for getting out of that first inning. After the 2-run homer by Rio and a double by Adamad, he retired 6 in a row. A walk, an error, a hit batter, and then a couple of base runners in the 6th, but really settled down nicely and looked like the Jake Harford that we're used to seeing after the Baycats jumped on him for that early 2-0 lead.
And you're right, that first inning, it really did not look like he had his best command. He was either missing in the zone in the middle or the fastball was going high. And he actually, in that last at-bat to, I think it was Juan Familia in the second, he had gone away from using his fastball entirely because it just wasn't going where he wanted it to. 3 straight off-speed pitches. He got the strikeout and ended the inning, but it took him a little bit to get his fastball back as Plumpton shows bunt, pulls it back, and that's a ball down low. 3-0 again. Hummel has not thrown a strike yet. 7 balls so far.
Well, as soon as Rio hit that 2-run blast, Brian Essery, the manager of the Jackfish, along with Sam Cocker, came out for a quick visit, and whatever they said to Harford obviously helped. He settled down really nicely after that.
So when Harford found his fastball command, he looked a lot better. There's the first strike from Wyatt Hummel. So it's 3-1.
Hummel, a Western Canadian, born in Edmonton, Alberta. 26 years old.
3 balls, 1 strike.
Turned 26 on Saturday, so a belated happy birthday.
Ground ball first base side and foul. Max Loischko almost made the play. Did not, though. Can't blame him. Didn't have a glove on. It was going really fast. I would not have made the play either. Can't have full at 3-2 after all of that. Full and 2 is not a count. Full at 3-2 is a count. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Plumpton with a good at-bat here. Kicks and comes home. And it's fouled back. Dropped by the catcher. So the at-bat will remain going.
Good job by Plumpton to stay alive at home plate. He loves these at-bats where he can go deep in the count and he can foul off as many pitches as needed until Hummel makes a mistake and he gets the one that he's looking for as Cocker goes out for a visit and they discuss what they're going to serve up to Plumpton here on this 3-2. Big at-bat here. Baycats looking to add to this 1-run lead, and it's not often you can get the Jackfish into the 7th inning with a 2-1 lead, but here Barrie is, and this is a crucial inning for them to try to add to that, get some insurance here.
And now that they've got a lead going into the 8th inning, they can maybe go to a guy like Chris Cox and then Brad Grieveson, or maybe even Brad for a couple innings. 3-2 the count, looks back at second, and now steps off. We've seen, I don't know, stepped off pretty late there.
Well, Plumpton had shown bunt earlier in that at-bat. He's not going to be bunting here a 3-2, but obviously Hummel thinking that perhaps Burns might be in motion. Still nobody out in the inning. I'd be surprised if they send him.
He's thrown 10 pitches this inning so far. 7 of them have been balls. That's fouled away. That's not counting foul balls, which is not counted within our pitch count here.
What an at-bat here by Tyler Plumpton.
Three balls, 2 strikes. Tyler Plumpton trying to drive home Carson Burns, who's in scoring position at second base. And now, stepping out is the umpire. I think someone, maybe Tyler Plumpton, called time because there was a bug, I think, in front of him. Fair enough. I'm not going to judge him for that. A lot of bugs.
Surprising considering how chilly it is here this evening, but
3 balls, 2 strikes again. Here it is. Line, right side, heads up, and foul.
that one just caromed off the fence. Look at the kids chasing that one down. It's amazing, even after one kid picks up the ball, you still see another 7 or 8 kids run over to that area.
Hey, do you want to give me that ball? I really want that ball.
Now, I always tell kids, when you come to a game and a ball gets fouled off in a certain area, even if you don't get the ball, stay in that area. There's a good chance the very next pitch will be fouled off over there. And Plumpton's fouled 2 or 3 over towards that side
You
in
just
this
have to,
at-bat.
A, make sure to bring your glove, and B, heads up, because some of those are really sharp liners. 3-2, up the middle on a ground ball. Moving over to the fielder, he'll throw on to first for the out. Moving to third is Burns. So, a productive at-bat there for Tyler Plumpton. Brought the pitch count up by a lot and then advanced the runner.
Yeah, the Baycats will take it. That's a good out by Plumpton. Just put the ball in play. That's all he wanted to do there. Didn't want to strike out. He thought he got the walk earlier in the at-bat, but next best scenario is just simply advancing the runner, and that's exactly what he was able to do. To get Carson Burns 90 feet away in this 2-1 ball game. Every base runner is crucial from this point on.
Baycats, by the way, will face Ethan Hunt, Mateo Porchelato, and Hogan Brown in the bottom of the inning. Or I suppose the top of the next inning, I should say. We're in the bottom of the inning.
Nobody warming up in that Barrie bullpen, so we assume they're going to go at least one more with Garces.
And why not? He's pitched very, very well. 1 run so far.
I'm actually a little surprised they took Harford out after 6 tonight, because he's a guy that can go a lot deeper in a ball game. I believe he went 70 on Saturday against the Baycats.
Familia's 0 for 2. Up the middle, base hit, Juan Familia. And the Baycats have extended their lead. It's 3-1.
Well, we've mentioned it for the last few games. Juan Familia is a guy who's got to get going offensively, and that's just what he needs to do. The little things, put the ball in play, and he made good contact there and put it right in the middle, and that was exactly what they needed. Just get that runner in from third. It's a big RBI for Juan Familia. It gives Barrie a 2-run lead.
Juan Familia was due. He was due for a base hit, and he just got it up the middle there. Well-timed base hit for Juan Familia. Drives in Burns, gets the RBI.
And they're not looking for Familia to be a guy who's going to, put it over the fence or try to win the game with one swing of the at-bat. He's not that kind of a player, but just to do the little things at the plate, execute, put the ball in play, that's exactly what they needed there.
12th RBI of the season for Familia. Here's Owen Jansen, the leadoff hitter today. First pitch to Owen, swung on and fouled off. Let's go Baycats chants coming from the stands in a very packed ballpark. Here's the 0-1 to Jansen, down and in. Runner going, and it's thrown past second base. The shortstop did not get it, but the second baseman behind him, that's Tyler Dupuis, was backing him up very well to prevent that ball from going in the outfield. Either way, Familia up to second on the stolen base.
An uncharacteristic bad throw from Sam Cocker. You don't see too many of those from him. He's as good as they come behind the plate and has one of the best arms in the league. That one he just kind of uncorked wildly, and I'm not sure, maybe he was partially obstructed by the batter at the plate there. Had trouble getting a good throw off.
1-1 the count. Jansen has walked twice today and popped up. Kicks and throws. That's a strike. Count 1-2. Ryan Rio on deck, by the way, who had that big home run in the 5th after Jansen walked. Or excuse me, in the 1st inning after Jansen walked. Familia trying to play with Hummel's vision behind him as Jansen swings and misses. And it was caught by Cocker behind the plate, so it's an out. Wyatt Hummel looking back at the runner behind him, and Familia was dancing around trying to distract him. And that's something that Familia does really well in the base pass. He's a smart base runner. Baycats would love for him to get hot and do that a lot on the base pass. Here's Rio. That's a new walk-up for Ryan Rio. Lefty hitter against the righty pitcher, Wyatt Hummel. Kicks, comes home, and it's down and in. Rio up to 6 homers on the season now. That leads the Baycats.
Hummel with 41 strikeouts in 30 innings of work so far this season. Big strikeout there to get Owen Jansen. 2 out in the inning.
Familia takes his lead off second. He thinks about going. He decides to stay. Ball was down and in, and Familia could have gone, but a well-located ball, and they could have got him. So a wise decision to stay at second. Count 2-0. Hummel's command has not been great. He has faced Barrie once this season. That was in the loss. He went 1 inning, faced 4 batters, walked 1, but kept it scoreless. Up the middle, and Dupuis will field it as it goes by Hummel. Throw on to first, and that retires the side. The Baycats add 1, extend their lead, and it's 3-1 heading to the 8th inning. Ben Davey to call it for you. You're watching Baycats TV and the Barrie Baycats on Rogers TV in Barrie.
BarrieToday.com. Local news, weather, Baycat scores, and more. BarrieToday.com. Your community, your news. The Canadian Brewhouse is a one-of-a-kind Canadian-themed sports bar. Stop by and enjoy live sports action and an extensive menu with amazing food and drink specials. Just off the 400 at Park Place in Barrie. Join the Canadian Brewhouse after the game.
I'm Christina De Palma, and whether you're looking for help with small claims court, a problem with your tenant, a traffic ticket, a notary, or looking for mediation, De Palma & Associate Legal Services can help. Know the rules, know your rights, solid advice.
Inning number 8 here at Vintage Throne Stadium. Welcome back to Baycats TV and the Barrie Baycats broadcast here on Rogers TV in Barrie. Baycats got out to an early lead with a 2-run home run by Ryan Rio to score Owen Jansen in the bottom of the first inning. It was then scoreless, a pitcher's duel between Jake Harford and Frank Garces all the way to the 7th inning, where the Welland Jackfish scored 1 on a home run by Justin Gideon, and the Baycats got a rally going and a base hit by Juan Familia to drive in Carson Burns. That made it 3-1. 8th inning brought to you by Mr. Lawn Care and Landscaping, servicing Simcoe County for all of your landscaping needs. Mr. Lawn Care and Landscaping. To call the rest for you on play-by-play, here's Ben Davey.
Thank you, Patrick. This game with a really nice pace tonight. We go to the top of the 8th. We're exactly 2 hours into this game as Frank Garces is back out again for the Baycats. Face the 6, 7, and 8 hitters, and working quickly here with a 1-1 count to Ethan Hunt.
You would imagine, although Brad Graveson's kind of been moved to the rotation lately, you really need this win. So You would imagine Frank Garces in the 8th, and then ideally in the next inning, Brad Grieveson.
Well, every game matters so much. I mean, these are the games, you hear all teams say it, it's basically a playoff game here. You know, even though elimination isn't at stake, you're playing this. The mindset is that of a playoff game.
Assuming that Juan Benitez gets the start in that game against London, there's then a week between games. So Grieveson would not necessarily have to start for another week. Even if you brought him into the bullpen from the bullpen today, it wouldn't necessarily ruin the rotation.
Yeah, these guys can really empty the tank against London on Saturday. That's a nice luxury to have with that break in the schedule. And called strike 3 to Ethan Hunt, and a big strikeout for Frank Garces to start the 8th.
So if Brad comes in tonight, that means you're only using Frank and then Brad. And then tomorrow you have everybody in the bullpen, probably including Brad, because he's a guy who can pitch. From a Thursday to a Saturday again. So you have everybody available, and then the week happens, and you have everybody again. I would assume either Garces or Benitez pitches in that game. So it's really, as of right now, shaping up to be a nice little stretch pitching-wise, stamina-wise for the Baycats.
Matt Hildebrandt takes over for Mateo Porcelato in the number 7 spot of the order here for manager Brian Essery.
Hildebrandt could hit. He is a very strong hitter.
I think most teams this year kind of have a light schedule for this final week of regular season play, and it's probably intentionally set up that way just to allow any rescheduled games. But if you don't have any rescheduled games, it gives you a chance to get your pitching rotation in order, and if anybody's banged up a little bit, just a couple of extra days of rest.
It does two things. So first, you're right. It allows them to have essentially what is a rain-out week and a rain-out couple of weeks. The second thing it does is if they decide to expand the season a little bit more, either next year or with expansion, and they need a couple extra weeks of games without going deeper into the year, it allows them to do that. But
One ball,
primarily
2 strikes.
It is a rain-out week, I would say.
And Hildebrandt stays alive and fouls it away.
Baycats have had their rescheduled game already. The July 5th game was in early August, I believe August 2nd against the Royals in Guelph. They
Absolutely.
have no other rescheduled games as of right now.
Amazing to me that they only had one game that needed to be rescheduled this year, and it was on the road. Swing and a miss. Frank Garces with back-to-back strikeouts in the 8th.
The way Garces is pitching, they might not even need Brad in the 9th. He looks like he's still got his stuff.
Mentioned it several times this year, but we've had the best weather here at home that I can recall in all my years of announcing IBL baseball here in Barrie.
Well, I was talking to Neil Sriwastawa in Guelph, and they were talking about how good the weather has been for the Royals as well, other than that one rain out against Barrie and that opening day where the tree fell on the field.
Yeah, any stormy weather that we seem to have had this summer has been on weekdays. For some reason, the weekends have just been beautiful.
Of course, Guelph also plays a lot of Tuesday games, so they've been fortunate on Tuesdays as well. Got a chance to be in their broadcast booth with Scotty Fraser. That was a fun experience.
First time this season that Frank Garces has worked into the 8th, and he looks as strong as he looked at the start of the game. Breaking pitch just missed, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike to Hogan Brown.
Yeah, that's been a strike at times tonight. It's been a very consistent zone, a bit bigger of a zone, but that's been the first miss that I've seen.
Gets that call, and it's 1-2. Frank Garces worked 7 shutout innings against Hamilton on July 28th. That was his best outing prior to this one. You can make a case for this one, perhaps even eclipsing that one so far. Back-to-back strikeouts to start the 8th. Now a 1-2 count and a swing and a miss. Hogan Brown goes down. Frank Garces strikes out the side in the 8th. Some masterful pitching by the left-hander, and the Baycats will take their 3-1 lead into the bottom of the 8th inning. You're watching Baycats TV and Rogers TV in Barrie.
Davey Mendez coming in for the Welland Jackfish as we welcome you back here to Vintage Throne Stadium. He is in his 9th game of the season. Through 10 innings pitched, he has 20 strikeouts and 3 walks. And we bring in the third member of our broadcast crew, Kendra Doyle. When you have a pitcher coming in from the bullpen who in 10 innings pitched has 20 strikeouts and hasn't walked anybody, basically, what kind of late game boost does that give you?
Well, you know you have an advantage, honestly. Like, you're kind of like, I'm trying to think of a good response to that. Well, you're trying to secure a game, first of all.
And in a situation where Welland down by a couple, keeping them in the game is the priority. How does the mentality change between when you're coming into a game you're already leading, as that one's up the middle, when you come into a game when you're leading, it's a little bit different than when you come into a game when you're down by a couple. How does that change your mentality?
Well, when you're leading, you're just locking in your position. But when you're coming from a game that you're down, you really want to make sure that you have a pitcher that is going to guarantee shut down these batters. You don't want to add to their lead right now. So shut it down when you can. And then go next inning, get your runs up.
Base hit from Adam Odd. New pitch runner is Brendan Colley. And back on the mic, Ben Davey.
All right, thank you, Patrick. It's 3-1 Baycats here in the bottom of the 8th as Davey Mendez comes on to work his 9th game for the Jackfish this season. Zips in a fastball for a called strike for Branfi Infante. So Colley in to run for Odd. An important base runner for the Baycats here, up by 2.
Colley's got good speed on the base pass, and he's a guy who can come in and play multiple positions, including first base.
The leg kick and the 0-1, and it's lifted to center field. Borello has a read on it. He's under it, and he makes the catch, and Colley will scamper back to first, 1 away. Jackfish have not scored fewer than 2 runs in a ball game all season, and both of those games were losses, ironically, to the Toronto Maple Leafs. They fell 4-2 to the Leafs back in June, and then had a 5-2 loss to the Leafs recently as well. So a couple of uncharacteristic low-scoring games against a team that scores a lot of runs, Toronto. The Jackfish have had a couple of those low-scoring games this season, and in a tight one here against the Baycats, 3-1 with Welland on the wrong side of the ledger here.
Not close on that one. He's a guy who doesn't walk anybody. We mentioned that with Kendra. Only 3 walks in 8 games so far, but that one wasn't close. Mendez is a guy who normally does not miss the strike zone much.
26-year-old native of San Pedro de Macorís, stands 6'4", 215. IBL rookie, looks in for the sun. Here's the pitch. It's the inside part of the plate for a strike. It's 1-1 to Jake Wilson.
Mostly a 1-inning guy. Can give you a couple, though.
Wilson 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. Runner leads. Does not go. 1-1 pitch inside.
Yeah, he's missing a lot more than normal right now. He has never pitched here at Vintage Throne Stadium, so you wonder if he's just getting adjusted to the new mound, new atmosphere. He's pitched in Guelph, Hamilton, Kitchener, and then at home.
Smybert and Dupuy at double play depth here with 1 away. The 2-1 pitch coming up, and it's high, ball 3.
Yeah, 3 bad misses and 3 all to different places. This is a little unusual.
And that patience we've talked about all season long with Jake Wilson really paying off here as he gets a 3-1
getting better
pitch on the way here.
And better at being patient at the plate. Early season Jake Wilson swings at a couple of those.
Gets a hitter's count here and probably something good on this 3-1 coming up from Davey Mendez. To the belt, the pitch on the way. Fouls it off at home plate, and the count is full.
That's why you wear the padding as a catcher. Ouch.
Wilson knew he was getting a fastball on that 3-1. Mendez came right at him, and Wilson just got a piece to stay alive. So now the count is full. See if they put Colley in motion here on a 3-2. Only 1 out in the inning, but this might be a time to put the runner in motion. We'll see. Takes the lead. He goes.
Good
Here's
call.
the pitch. Foul back. Good
Really,
job by Wilson to protect the plate.
really good call there.
Colley got a good jump. Wilson was trying to put that ball in play. Maybe get Colley from first to third on a single. So the count's still 3-2 to Wilson. 3-1 Baycats, bottom of the 8th. Barrie looking for just their second win of the season over the Jackfish. Checking the runners, Mendez. Gets the sign, and the payoff pitch is coming up. Runner does not go. It's high, ball 4, and the Baycats have 2 on with 1 out.
How important would another run here be? If you get another run and make it 4-1, then you can comfortably send Garces out and give him an opportunity to close out this game. No action really in the Baycats bullpen, so I think he's coming out regardless, but he'll feel a lot more comfortable about it if they add one more.
James Anderson, the only Baycat who has not reached base safely tonight. He'd love to do that here. 2 on, 1 out here in the 8th inning. Anderson has put the ball in play all 3 times, but grounded out, popped up, and hit into a double play to end the 4th inning. That one inside and high. Anderson falls right over on his keister, trying to get out of the way of that.
Mendez has 0 command right now.
And that was
And he's
not how
had-
James wanted to get on base.
He's had 0 command since he got out here. He's a guy who almost always has excellent command. Hasn't walked anybody since July 7th. But he does not have his stuff tonight.
Colley at second, Wilson at first. 1 away. Check on the runner. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Gets the corner there at a called strike, 1-1.
And you know, sometimes when you don't have your stuff, especially on the secondary pitches, you just go inside the zone with your fastball, try to get it back. Try to find your release point as you exit your delivery. Try to refocus, and then you can maybe go back to your secondary pitches after you've found your fastball again.
Well, that's what he did with Wilson, and Wilson was able to foul off a couple to keep the count at 3-2 before drawing the walk.
That's what Anderson did there too.
It's now 1-2. We'll see if he comes back to the fastball here.
The problem when you dig yourself into that hole and have to go in the zone with a fastball to try and refocus yourself is oftentimes that fastball is extremely hittable.
Carson Burns taking some cuts in the on-deck circle. Right now it's James Anderson at the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes against Davy Mendez. Here's the 1-2 offering. Just missed. Didn't miss by much.
That was a good pitch.
Good patience by Anderson. For a pitcher who is struggling out there with his control, that's a pitch that Mendez wanted to get.
It's getting a little better in this at-bat. After that refocused fastball down in the zone, it's been okay. Same as in that Wilson at-bat.
2-2 for Mendez. Fouled away.
We're seeing almost the exact same thing as that Wilson at-bat, except he didn't quite dig himself into quite as big a hole with the 3 ball count, where he lost his command and then is gradually re-getting it. But those pitches where he finds it are being fouled off. I'd be surprised if the next pitch was in the zone. You can afford to waste 1 more pitch, maybe going down and away.
Anderson waggles the bat.
See where Cocker is going to set up.
Big pitch in this ball game right here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on, and 1 away. The pitch from Mendez swung on and missed. Anderson chases, and there are 2 away.
He missed his spot on that. It was a good miss, but he missed his spot on that. He was setting up down and away. Still in the strike zone, but on the lower outside part of the zone. Missed inside. If you are going to miss, you want to miss inside, because most of the time the worst that can happen is that the batter can jam themselves on it and get weak contact.
3-1 Baycats. Pair of runs in the first, a run in the 7th. Welland with a run in their half of the 7th. A low-scoring game here in this matchup between Welland and Barrie. This one hit on the ground. Slowly to second. Dupuis picks it up, makes the throw. It's in time for the out. The Baycats unable to add to their lead here in the 8th inning, and the Welland Jackfish will get 1 more crack at it in the top of the 9th. We're through 8 with the Baycats up by 2 You're watching Baycats TV and Rogers TV in Barrie.
Visit Alliance Billiards and Sports in the northeast end of Barrie. A fun, friendly family environment offering pool, darts, karaoke, and live entertainment. Enjoy a large variety of delicious food and drinks on the patio. You'll come as a stranger and leave as a friend. Revive MD Medical and Aesthetic Clinic, privately owned by Dr. Marina Bachet, a one-of-a-kind clinic that covers a variety of medical and cosmetic concerns. Visit 411 Bayfield Street, Unit B12 in Barrie or revivemedspa.ca.
Join us this summer at the Baycats Summer Baseball Camp.
See you this summer.
We go to the top of the ninth inning at Vintage Throne Stadium in the township of Springwater. The Barrie Baycats looking for their second win of the season over the Welland Jackfish. They're up by a score of 3-1. Patrick Melbourne, I'm Ben Davey. Brendan Cawley will take over at first base. Came on as a pinch runner for Adam Odd in that bottom of the eighth inning.
Last Baycat to throw a complete game in the regular season, Juan Benitez last season.
This is the deepest the Baycats have gone with Frank Garces on the mound this season. He's looking for his first complete game and Barrie's first of the season.
He'll be facing off against Tyler Dupuis, Gianfranco Morello, and Justin Gideon. Ninth inning brought to you by Mr. Lawn Care and Landscaping. Mr. Lawn Care and Landscaping, servicing Simcoe County for all of your landscaping needs.
And there's nobody throwing in the Barrie bullpen, so they have a lot of confidence here in their left-hander in this ninth inning. And he starts off Dupuis with a first pitch strike. Well, Frank Garces has gotten better as the game has gone on, if that's even possible. Struck out the side in the eighth, back-to-back strikeouts following the home run by Gideon, and this one is hit deep, and
that was a fair ball. Foul? They have a complaint. They called it foul. They called it foul. It sure looked fair.
Brian Essery didn't think so. We're just going on what the umpire said. That one kind of disappeared into the night sky, way above the foul pole.
I'll take another look here behind the scenes. From the naked eye, that looked fair, and I think they have a complaint.
Judgment call on the part of the umpire. Obviously, we don't have major league foul poles where you have that definitive one side of the pole or the other. Essery talking to the third base umpire, who is Mike Goutreau. Nothing that we're able to see on our replay there, so we can only go by what the umpire says.
And the Jackfish coach immediately motioned that it was fair. The umpire was standing right there. So was the coach, and they had different opinions. From our vantage point, it looked fair, so the Baycats maybe catch a little bit of a break there.
That one fouled back our way.
Because it dropped, I believe, in fair territory past the base.
Well, I guess
either way,
run out there and find the ball and try to see where it landed. But there's really no other way to tell.
Baycats, I think, catch a little bit of a break there.
1 ball and 2 strikes. I honestly couldn't tell. It just disappeared into the night sky, and I couldn't see what side of the pole that was on. We're on an angle here as well, so there's really no way we can know for sure where we are. And a swing and a miss as Frank Garces records his 4th straight strikeout. What an outing by Frank Garces tonight. We just cannot underscore enough how dominant he has been out here on the mound.
4th straight, and 6 of the last 7 batters have now gone down by way of the K.
Center fielder number 11, Gio Morello.
The solo home run by Justin Gideon, the lone blemish tonight on what has been an absolutely stellar performance by the Baycat left-hander. 4 strikeouts in a row. Here's Gio Morello thinking bunt, and he got a piece of it and fouls it off. Good crowd here tonight, and most of them hanging in here right till the very end. Very entertaining ball game. It's had a good pace to it, and a low-scoring affair between the Jackfish and the Baycats. Barrie jumped out to a 2-0 lead and have not looked back since. Pitch high, and it's 1-1. Baycats looking to end a 4-game losing streak. Jackfish coming off a win over Kitchener last night, and they're deadlocked with London for first place. This is a huge game for them tonight, and this one hit to right center field. Wilson over and running, and he makes the catch. Held up long enough for the speedy center fielder, and there's 2 out in the inning.
That's the range Jake Wilson has there in the outfield and the speed. An excellent outfielder, and the Baycats benefit from having him out in that spot. Not many outfielders in the IBL who can make that catch.
The right fielder, number 1, Justin Gideon.
Justin Gideon 1 for 3 tonight, but oh, what a one it was. A solo home run to lead off the 7th, and the only run the Jackfish have been able to get off Frank Garces here tonight. First pitch, and it's low, ball 1.
Other than the low strikeout total, which isn't that low anymore, by the way, he's up to 8 strikeouts. It sure looks a lot like that 2018 version of Frank Garces. Barrie fans got to see that whole season.
Gideon ducks out of the way of that. It was inside, 2-0.
Throw strikes, Frank. Throw strikes.
Garces with 107 pitches tonight. 75 of them strikes, only 32 balls. 2 balls and a strike. Left-hander deals, just missed, and it's 3-1. Brandon Nicholson on deck. He would represent the tying run if Gideon can keep it alive here for the Jackfish.
Still nobody warming in the Baycats bullpen. This is Frank Garces' game.
Lefty-lefty matchup. Garces with the wind in the 3-1 pitch. Fouled away, and the count is full. And that'll get the crowd into this one now with 2 strikes.
On deck, Brandon Nicholson, by the way, 0 for 3. Through the 3, 4, 5 spots in the order, the Welland Jackfish are 0 for 9.
Three-1 Barrie, we're in the 9th. Frank Garces with a wind-up, and the payoff pitch on the ground. Second base, Jansen cannot come up with it. Goes into center field for a hit, and Justin Gideon keeps this ball game alive.
It's a hit.
Great effort there at second base by Owen Jansen.
Left fielder, number 13.
Only the 4th hit of the game for the Jackfish, and let's see if they can capitalize. Nicholson represents the tying run. He's 0 for 3 tonight.
4th hit, Justin Gideon has a couple. That home run. And then the single right there.
Gideon is just that thorn in the side kind of player who you absolutely love to have on your team, but if you're playing against him, he can beat you so many ways. Let's see if a stolen base is in order here. We know the Jackfish love to run. Will they do it with 2 out? Not on the first pitch. It's high and away.
Gideon's got good speed. He's a guy who does not have the highest speed numbers on the team because he was with Hamilton for quite a while. But he can still steal a base.
2 Jackfish have been caught stealing tonight. That's worth mentioning as well. That's a rarity.
Do they have a stolen base tonight? They're averaging 5 a game or
Yeah.
something. I don't think they have one
They
tonight.
don't. They have 2 attempts and caught stealing both times.
It
That
might be the first time all season that's happened.
probably is. That would be a very a very safe prediction, I would assume. Called strike, and it's 2-1.
Gideon already has more stolen bases in 10 games coming into today with Welland than he did in 27 with Hamilton.
Garces looks at the runner, the leg kick. Here's the pitch, and it just misses outside. It's 3-1.
Strike zone shrinking just a little bit from where it was most of the game.
Got to be careful here. Don't want to put the tying run on. Cleanup man Sam Cocker on deck. The Jackfish smelling blood here in the top of the 9th inning. They trail by 2. Frank Garces trying to end it here. It's a 3-1 count to Brandon Nicholson. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss! And the Jackfish now down to their final strike. Eight strikeouts tonight for Frank Garces. 9 would win the game. Here's the pitch, and it's fouled back to the screen. Runner was in motion with a full count and 2 out. That's another important aspect to all of this. You got some speed on the bases with Justin Gideon. But right now, the man at the plate is all that matters. Brandon Nicholson. Garces comes set. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Here's the pitch on the way, and it's lifted foul.
Heads up. Into the trees.
And the kids will rummage through the bushes for that foul ball and maybe miss the end of this ball game while they do it. Frank Garces, again, a chance to nail this one down for the Baycats. The runner will be off with the pitch. Here it is. Swing and a miss! The Baycats have beaten the Welland Jackfish.
Well, the Baycats got the best version of Frank Garces tonight, didn't they?
What a game for the Barrie Baycats in a battle that had huge implications for the Welland Jackfish in a tie with the London Majors, trying to win the IBL pennant here in these final 2 weeks of the season. Barrie puts their 4-game losing streak to an end. A masterful performance by left-hander Frank Garces here tonight. Garces with 9 strikeouts, none of them bigger than that one on Brandon Nicholson with 2 out in the 9th inning. Baycats out of the dugout to congratulate star of the game tonight, Frank Garces, player of the game, no question. Masterful pitching, allowing only 1 run, the solo homer by Justin Gideon, the only blemish on a great outing tonight by Garces. Only 4 Welland hits tonight as the Baycats prevail by a score of 3-1.
They got the timely hitting. They had that big home run early from Ryan Rio, who's starting to heat up once again. 6th homer of the year for him. And they got 2018 Frank Garces in 2022. Just a great overall game and a very important game for the Barrie Baycats. And they now move on to their next game with a win as their most recent game, and that's a huge morale boost, I think.
Only 3 more of these before the postseason, 2 of them here at Vintage Throne Stadium. We'll see the London Majors here at 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Baycats have a trip to Welland the following Saturday, and then they'll wrap up the regular season against Brantford here on Sunday, August 21st. Patrick and I will have both of those home games for you, and the playoff games as well right here on Baycats TV. For Kendra Doyle and Patrick Melbourne, I'm Ben Davey. Good night from Vintage Throne Stadium, where the Baycats prevail over the Welland Jackfish by a score of 3-1.